Baba Shuaib, the correctional officer, born in Accra, Ghana, a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on religion, who does online lectures based on the guidance of the Quran on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok since 2018. In Finland, and 13 years, QBE, in Classical Arabic and MSA in Quranic Arabic. The author of the Refer to the Quran, which helps every novice to understand the steps towards understanding the Great Quran and the guidance of God in it.
Time to rise and meet the challenge. Baba Shuaib is calling you out. Meet Baba Shuaib, a correctional officer with a mission. Today he's throwing down the gauntlet to the mushriks, no more holding back. With his logo shirt and cap, Baba Shuaib sits tall and confident. He says, the time for action is now. It's time to rise, to push past limits, and to become the best versions of ourselves. Baba Shuaib believes in the power of determination and resilience. His challenge is simple. Stand up, face your fears, and conquer them. Every day is a new opportunity, he says. An opportunity to grow stronger, to be better, and to leave a mark on the world. So, are you ready to accept Baba Shuaib's challenge? Are you ready to rise above and beyond? Join Baba Shuaib and let's show the world what we're made of, because the only limit is the one you set for yourself.
The motivation for me to keep going, no matter what. So I'll make sure I keep it in line, so that you get the lectures coming, God willing. You right? So you are welcome. Radmon Farouk, he says, Baba, you are the man of the moment. I appreciate that. God bless you. Thank you. Theo writes, yes, my brother, I appreciate your presence. I see you, brother. Salam. Somebody is saying what? He says, Baba, according to your understanding of the Quran, does every time in prayer you do prostration along with standing? For example, let's say you are not at home. I know how it is important it is. I have a video. I just put a latest video yesterday. So kindly watch that video. It's on YouTube. Please watch that video. It answers your question. Please watch that video. Right? It's just like about 15 minutes video. Kindly watch that last video I put before this. Watch that. You'll get the answer there. Please. Somebody says, can the word sha'ira be translated as token? Token, if you put it in the sentence or the context, what will you mean? Token? If I say I'm giving you a token, like what would it signify? You understand? In the religious sense, what will it signify? That is the question. So a word can have multiple meanings, but there's a certain meaning of that word when you put in a sentence, it doesn't fit. So in that time, you don't put that meaning. But sha'ira, yes. Or we can say sha'ira is sha'ira. So let's move on with today's program. So if for those joining later, if I don't get to respond to your message, I apologize. So let's go to today's program. So today's program, I have some comedians actually. And when I say comedians, you already know them. The sectarians, they don't cease to amaze me with their hula baloo and hibby-jibbies, right? Yes, yes, I see you, Aram, Sister Aram, you're welcome. Thank you for being around. And we have Tadsi. Yes, Tadsi also is available. I see you, brother. Thank you all for your presence and being here, right? And shout outs to all those on TikTok, right? So Coralelo says, yes, they are hibby-jibbies. Yeah, right. Hibby-jibbies. Like the hibby-jibby is too much. Sometimes it gives me headache. But you know one thing about Baba Shuaib, I love listening to the lies, even though I know it's a lie. But I love listening to it because it's like comedy to me. You know the feeling when you have kids, right? For people who have kids, your parents, right? Most of you who are parents, you know the feeling when your son or your daughter is lying to you, and you're looking at them lying to you, but you are enjoying the lie, and even though you know it's a lie, but you enjoy it because you just want the person to keep repeating what they're saying. And at that point, you don't get angry because you know they're lying. So you don't get angry. What do you find it is comedy? Like you start laughing. Then I once did it to my daughter. I remember my daughter, she was at that age. I think she was 3 years to 4 years at that time. And she was sitting down watching the tablet and she pooped in her pants because she hates the fact that she has to leave the tablet and go to the washroom. So she was sitting there and she pooped in her pants. So I smelled something and I'm like, Nadi, did you poop? She said, no. She actually looked me in the eyes. She said, no. And I could see, I could feel it, I could smell it. I could, I sense everything that she pooped. And I said, you pooped in your pants? She said, no. And I said, are you sure? She said, no, she didn't. I said, okay, no problem. Even though I know she pooped, I was just looking at her. She was lying. And she said she farted. That's what she said. She said she farted. I said, are you sure? She says, yes. So now I was looking at her and I'm like, okay, if you farted, just get up and go to the toilet, whatever it is. Just get up. Now when she has to get up, she was holding her ass. And you could see at the back of the pant. She was embarrassed, So sometimes the feeling is when you know the person is lying, it's just fun listening to the lie when you know it's a lie. It is dangerous when the person is lying, you don't know it's a lie, and you're listening. That's the dangerous part. But when you know a person is lying, you don't get angry anymore listening to them. You are like, uh-huh. When they keep saying what they are saying, you're like, uh-huh, I heard you, uh-huh. Because you just want them to finish. And that the dangerous part about telling a lie that you have been caught, but you don't know you have been caught is after you finish lying, then you are asked a question. That where that in that instance you cannot answer that kind of question, right? So this is exactly what I find the mushriks in, right? And that is why most of the time when Baba Shuaib asks for a dialogue, when I tell people come to my platform, they run away like donkeys fleeing from the lions. Most of the times, the people you see calling on my program to say that like they are here to challenge me, sometimes they are the ones with the heebie-jeebies because they are not learned. They just want to create misunderstanding. So they will not give you the chance to even express things, and they cannot have a logical dialogue. A logical dialogue is you ask me a question, I will answer. Then I have to ask you a question. That's a logical dialogue. So even among the mega hypocrites, the hypocrites among us, when I ask them, let's do that, they are scared. Yes, they are scared because they are not fit for that. And because, to be honest, this time I will embarrass them big time. And I'll show them the loopholes in their logic. So the mushriks, they find me as a threat because they cannot stand the test of time also. So, but when they stay far away and they are lying, I find it like comedy. It's ridiculous. Right. So I'm going to give you that kind of example. And thanks to brother Omar Satawu, who called my attention to the video. So I decided to bring it today to the lecture. I had another video I wanted to talk about, but I prefer, okay, let me just address this topic. Because now the Quran alone followers, we have become a knapsack for the mushriks. If I say knapsack, you all know knapsack, right? Sack, knapsack. So that knapsack, we have become a knapsack on their neck. We are disturbing them big time. So now they have to keep talking about us. Now, I said, when you become a threat, that is when a person cannot leave you out of their mouth, that they have to discuss you. So now let me give you the example. Hey, Salam, Tujis, I see you. Tuji says you just want to see how it's going to end. Exactly. That is how a lie feels like, right? Because we are waiting to see how the end of the story will be because you already know it's a lie. Yeah, that's the fun part. Yes. So back in the days, I used to be very, very, very infuriated, very, very angry when I listened to the mushriks when they are speaking. Back in the days, I used to be very upset. So gone are the days. So now when I listen to that, I don't get upset. I just laugh. So for people who don't understand what Baba Shuaib does, and when you see me playing Acrobat 2 and laughing, it's not like I'm mocking them. It's not a mock. I'm laughing at the lies they are saying. It's funny for me. There's no need for me to be angry anymore. Because thanks to God, most of you are now waking up to this, lies. But anyways, let's go. Salam, Mom. Khadija, you are welcome. I see you. Ziad, Mohammed, all of you coming. Mehdi, Mumi, all those who are coming now. I appreciate your presence. Tuli Papa Begum. I agree. Quran through he says mushrik skeptic, mushrik hijabless, and mushrik dawa, and so on. Yes. So peace to you, all of you. Hey, brother Balogun. Thank you for the gift, Sister Hannah. Thank you for all those who send me the gift on TikTok. I appreciate that. God bless you. Peace. Yes. Salam to you, brother Naveed. Salam to you, Chris. Yes, that is it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. So, yes, brother, if you want to connect, I will open the channel. If you are around, if you come back, so we will connect on that. I'll open the platform where you can call in if you're still available. But I have a topic to discuss now, so don't worry, right? So in about, let's say, 1 hour and a half, yes, at that time I can open up. So salam to you all coming. Hussein, salam, you're welcome. Okay, so let's go with the first video. This is the first video I'm going to play. By the way, the video I'm going to play, these two guys, their name is Nial and Fawz. Nial and Fawz. I'm sure they are from UK, right? I'm pretty sure they are from UK. So kindly get some popcorn and listen to the comedy, right? These guys, I see them as comedians, right? So listen, the feeling is when you know somebody is lying, but you still want to listen to the lie. So, it's fun. So let's listen what they have to say.
Welcome to One Truth, where we talk about Muslims today and Islam in the West. Today's topic is an interesting topic. It's a topic of a bit of contention, probably, right, Fawzi?
Yes, I definitely agree.
And the topic is a topic that I feel like needs to be talked about. And the reason why it needs to be talked about, specifically in the community that you and I live in here in Western New York, is because it's been being talked about a lot and being propagated a lot with no pushback at all. No pushback from local imams, no pushback from parents that whose children are falling into this ideology, no pushback from da'iyah like ourselves, obviously, until now. And that topic is the idea of hadith rejection, right? The idea that they like to call themselves Qur'ani, but I don't think that title really fits well.
Yeah, it's a misnomer.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And the reason being is because they would say that you don't need to be a Muslim and to make it to Jannah and to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow His messenger. All you need is the Quran. You don't need the Sunnah. You don't need any hadith, right?
Yes.
So, and the reason why I say that doesn't match, and I believe this is why you're saying that title of being a Qur'an doesn't match, is because there is no Islam without the sayings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the teachings and implementation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? Would you agree?
Definitely.
So, yeah, this ideology, unfortunately, has been spreading like a virus, and I don't, I'm not trying to, shed a harmful light on it and kind of come at anyone, right? Not too hard, at least. But the point I'm making here is that the ideology, we would say, has no basis of fact nor or truth, or it has no basis to the claims.
Right. Because the Quran itself indicates that you need to obey Allah and obey the messenger.
100%, no doubt. I guess that leaves the question open to, and all right, obeying Allah, sure, following His commandments that are in the Quran.
Yes.
The question is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ, right? Obey Allah and obey the messenger, right? The question here is, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean by obeying the messenger? And the pushback from these hadith rejectors would be that following the Quran is following the messenger, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't redundant, right?
Exactly.
He wouldn't say the same thing twice in the same sentence for no apparent reason, right?
In other words, you're saying it would have just said obey Allah and the messenger. Why not? Why is
I know,
Allah saying?
why is Allah subhanahu
saying,
wa ta'ala making a distinction between saying obey Allah and the messenger, right? If obeying the messenger is obeying Allah, then why you're essentially saying Allah is saying obey Allah and obey Allah,
Right,
right?
right.
But here, not only that, but in Arabic and even in English to some extent, the word wa, right, means some sort of addition to the information that came before it. So if you say X, Y, and Z and 1, 2, 3, that means 1, 2, 3 isn't included with the same thing as X, Y, and Z, right?
God have mercy upon us.
Okay. Yeah. So, you see, when somebody is lying or saying things and they are confused and they, they are confused and they don't know what they are saying, when you are listening to them, this is how it, you just look at them, you stare them like this. You just keep looking at them like this because the person doesn't know where he has to put which word behind which word. They just, understand. And not only these guys, all of them, the Muhammad Hijabis, the Ali Dawas, the Muhammad Ali, you mentioned them, the list goes on and on, the Ijaz, mention them. I forgot, help me with their names. I know most of them, I forgot their names. All these guys, that's how they are when they have to be on a podcast and they are speaking, right? If you take your time to listen to them, it's full of hibijibis. Wallahi. Hibijibis. Yes. So, let me show you the hibijibis in their statement. Look at the intro, and it tells you how the Quran alone issue became a problem for them. So now they have to lie. It's a lie. They have to lie about a person. You understand? Twist the narrative. Change everything so that they can hurry up to let us look bad in the eyes of their people before the people will even show interest to listen. Are you getting the point? This is the game they are all playing now. This is the same game Asim Al-Hakim is playing. This is the same game Mufti Menk is playing. This is the same game Zakir Naik is playing. This is why they are in the mainstream discussing us. Yes. And the moment people start discussing you, you become a threat. That is when people discuss you. Right? I'm not talking about one person discussing you. When people start discussing you, you become a problem. It means you are a problem. Yes. So they have to discuss you. So these people started discussing us. Not only one, not only two. You go on all the scholars' platform. You mention any top scholar you know. Any top mushrik scholar you know. Mention any of them. They discuss us. But then whilst discussing us, they like to lie against us. Yes. So I'm going to show you the lie in their statements and how they set up their conversations just to deceive their audience, because it is their audience they are trying to protect. So I'm going to show you the concern and worries these people have when they are discussing us. Now check.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to One Truth, where we talk about Muslims today and Islam in the West.
We're going to talk about Islam in the West.
Today's topic is an interesting topic. It's a topic of a bit of contention, probably, right, Fawzi?
Yes, I definitely agree.
And the topic is a topic that I feel like needs to be talked about. And the reason why it needs to be talked about specifically in the community that you and I live in here in Western New York, is because it's been it's been being talked about a lot and being propagated a lot.
Do you see the statement he came out? It's a concerning issue. It's a worrying issue. It says it's being propagated a lot. It's being talked about a lot. So now it's a worrying issue for them, right? Because the issue is arising. It's going up. It's just like sales and marketing, right? The moment the market is booming, it means the customers are responding. So now, the issue of Quran alone movement is growing because these people don't have the answers. Look, if you have the right answers for people, they get satisfied. If you don't have the right answers for people, they become dissatisfied. So then they pull back. Are you getting the point? These people don't have the right answers for their audience because back in the days, people don't have the capacity to question them. And internet is a powerful tool. Technology is a powerful tool. When somebody can be in his house and questioning you somewhere else. Unlike back in the days, it is physically the person has to come and speak to you. So it's easily you can just arrest him and hide him in a chamber. But now on social media, people can voice out. You understand? So this become a worrying issue for them to discuss. Now, so check.
With no pushback at all. No pushback from, local imams. No pushback from parents that whose children are falling into this ideology.
So he thinks that there's no pushback. He thinks that his scholars are not doing enough. The imams are not doing enough. The imams are discussing us. His imams, he doesn't pay attention. But the idea of what he is saying is so that the imams and the scholars and the shuyukhs will have a regular time for us, like to be discussing us mainstream regularly. This is what they want. Because your scholars don't have the right answers to the questions we have. You can only assume the answers. But this is why your scholars don't want to have a one-on-one dialogue. They don't want to have one-on-one debate or dialogue. No, they don't want that. They just want to be in a group setting, like 5 of them. Then they just want to put one of you in the middle and make you look stupid. That's what they do. Because let me tell you, most of you Quran alone followers, let me tell you what you need to stop doing. When these people set up a platform and they target hadith rejectors, and then you are going on their platform, they can never allow you to make sense. You can never ever make sense on their platform. That is the agenda. Because one, when you start explaining something, another person on the platform will cut you off. Will say, but wait. Whilst you are answering this other person on the left, the person on the right will say, hey, but wait, how do you know this is blue? Then the one in the downside will say, hey, yeah, that is how they are confused. Then by the time you want to throw a question back to them, they will make your question become useless. Yes, this is how they set up their platforms. So sometimes I'll hear people saying, Baba Shuaib, these people have set up a platform. Are you going? Baba Shuaib, I'm going there to do what? Do you think they don't know Baba Shuaib? You ask them, do you think they don't know Baba Shuaib? They know me. They watch my videos. They know me, to be honest. But why wouldn't they invite me for one-on-one dialogue and discussion? Some of them, I used to have the discussion with them on Clubhouse. I'm not joking. I used to be on Clubhouse regularly. I used to have discussions with them. Why wouldn't such people invite me one-on-one? Then we see their intellect, their level of intelligence, if it's up to the task for them to even propagate those comedy books they are propagating. Yeah, salam, Sister Zuleika, you're welcome. You understand? They will not give you that inch. No. They will leave the lions. They will leave the matured predator, and then they will go for the chihuahua. You understand? They will go for the chihuahua and the ordinary ones so that they can deal with you and use you as an example and say, you tell me, which of these top scholars that you know has ever had a dialogue with somebody who is high or on a high rank among the Quran alone followers? You tell me. Is it Muhammad Hijab? He had a dialogue with who? Tell me, with who? You mention for me. Who? Zakir Naik had a dialogue with who? Mufti Menk, he had a dialogue with who? You name it. The last time I did a dialogue with the bozo from South Africa, Sheikh Fahim, didn't he expose himself? He ended up exposing himself. He gave me the credence. He gave me the credits. Do I have the video? Let me see if I can access the video here. Hopefully. Let me see if I have the video here. Fahim just gave me the credence. Can I have the video? For those who have the video, most of you, some of you have. Is it? Yes, I have the video. Let me play it here. Listen to what I made Fahim say in the live debates. This is what I made him confess. I made him confess, and this is where the debate ended. But the point of this mushriks is, and after the debate, he actually blocked me, to be honest. He blocked my number from his phone because Baba Shuaib is becoming a knapsack for him. Let me put the video here. So you see Sheikh Fahim Bozo from South Africa, right? In which folder did I put it? It's mixed topics. Okay, I have it here. Now, this is the video. I'm going to play the video. Then you check what Sheikh Fahim himself said, right? Listen and listen carefully. This is where the debate ended. Yes, it ended, the argument. It was anything else we could have said or we said is a waste of time, right? Okay. Now, just a second. This is loading a bit. Yeah, thank you very much. Cruising to, I'll come back to your this thing. Oh, the thing, this is loading. Sorry, I apologize for this. There's a delay, but let me try to get this video played. The video is here. Now listen what he said.
It's manishtarata sharatan laysa fi kitabillah. This is a principle that everyone should apply, including yourself. That do not impose in anything that you do in your life. Do not impose in anything that you do a condition that you do not find that condition in the book. So alhamdulillah, you have just proven that the sunnah takes us back to the Quran. The sunnah tells us, go to the Quran and see the laws that are in the Quran. Whatever laws you find there, don't apply it to, if it's not in the book of Allah, don't apply it to your life.
They think they are sensible and they keep on making mistakes.
Did you hear that? You get it? Did you get it?
You get it? If you don't get it, forget about
it. So, somebody says I should change the voice of that man's voice. It sounds like a cat. Like a cat is dying. Hey, come on, guys, don't do that. MFG. Okay. So this is when he admitted to all the arguments we came to do. We did a 2 hours, it's two and a half hours debate, right? And these people don't know what Baba Shuaib goes in a debate to look for. When I go in a dialogue, when I go in a debate, I'm looking for you yourself to use your own words to strike yourself down. This is what I've been doing in my dialogues and my debates. You, my opponent, what I'm looking for is use your own words to shoot yourself in the head and the foot. That's all I'm looking for. And he did that perfectly. So ever since after the debate, the guy blocked me. And he said I'm misleading people. That's what he said. He blocked me. Now, one of the funniest part about the debate is before we did the debate, we did a testing. Is it a testing mic test or whatever? We test the network, everything. It was good. Everything was good. Look, everything was okay when we did the mic test, the internet test, everything. But when we got to the debate, my network started, freezing. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, what is going on? But thanks to God, all this important part became clear enough, and everybody could hear and watch. You understand? So in a debate, even in a football match, Sometimes you play football match for 90 minutes. It is not the 90 minutes which matters. It is a decisive moment to win the game that matters. In a debate, in a dialogue, everything. It is not about how long, the longevity of the program. It is about the decisive moment in that debate or dialogue which decides, right? And that was what I was looking for. So the bozo from South Africa, he just gave in. He just said it blatantly, explicitly, that I Baba Shuaib, I've just proven that the Sunnah takes this back, take the people back to the Quran. Whatever you don't find in the Quran, don't apply it to your life. So if that is the case, why are you disturbing us with your garbage books? Because if it is not in the Quran, I don't need to apply it to my life. So why follow any external source? Are you getting the point? But he wasn't paying attention to it himself. Because I told you several times, these people, they tell you the truth subconsciously. Consciously, they want to lie to you. But subconsciously, the truth is evidential. A person cannot keep... How long can you lie? How long? Look, you can be the best liar in the world, but you can never lie forever. Let's say your name is... Yes, let's say your name is... let's say your name is Muhammad Hijab. And then you decided to act and change your name to become Mobile. So let's say you give yourself the name Mobile. How long can you keep calling yourself Mobile? How long? Wallahi lazim. It will get to a day you will mention your name Muhammad Hijab, whether you like it or not. Subconsciously. Yes. Just like sometimes you are married to a wife, or you are married to a husband, or you have your kids, and sometimes you make a slip up with their names. Sometimes you want to mention your name, the name of your son, and then you go to use somebody else's name. That is how subconsciously you are going to speak the truth without paying attention. Are you getting my point? I've watched videos of prominent people like the President Bush, Donald Trump, where they made confessions in their statements subconsciously, not consciously. Consciously, that's not what he wants to say. But because that thing is in your subconscious mind, it will pop up and come out. And that is exactly what the bozo from South Africa did. So let's go.
No pushback from Da'iyah like ourselves, obviously, until
Mr. Cruising Toot says Mushrik GTA 6 starter pack, Kufi, dress in taupe, buy camera, microphone, buy books, and put them in the background, grow beard, and say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, read Hadith. Exactly. That's the starter pack. That I agree. The mushriks, that is their starter pack. That is not a doubt, to be honest. Mr. Cruising Toot, you got it right. So let's go. Let's continue with the video.
now, and that topic is the idea of Hadith rejection, right?
Okay, so their topic is the topic of Hadith rejection, and this has been the topic for all of them, all their top scholars, their top da'i, their top imams. This is what they put on their platforms: Hadith rejectors, Hadith rejection, Hadith. By the way, the Quran is the authentic Hadith. So last time when I made a program, I saw one foolish bozo among the mega hypocrites who took my video. He says I was talking about Hadith rejectors are not Muslims, and he was judging me by the cover, instead of judging me by the book itself. But he's judging me by the cover of the, So the title argues, because he's naive in the head, he's lame, he's stupid. He didn't go into my videos to see why I chose that topic. You understand? So when I said Hadith rejectors are not Muslims, I was actually vice versa, talking against the mushriks. Because the authentic Hadith is the Quran. The original Hadith is the Quran. So they rather reject the Hadith, which is the Quran. They reject it. Have you ever approached a mushrik and then you tell him that the Quran is the Hadith? And have you seen their reaction? No, most of the times. They will tell you, A'udhu billah, he says the Quran is the Hadith. No. To them, Quran is not the Hadith. To them. But you're the one following the Quran. You know the Quran is al-Hadith. As a matter of fact, Ahsan al-Hadith, the best Hadith. But because these mushriks, they reject this Hadith, which is the Quran, they are Hadith rejectors. Are you not getting the point here? So that is why I made the video. Then I found one foolish guy took my video. He didn't even waste of time. I think he was born by mistake, by the way. Okay, so let's go.
The idea that I mean, they like to call themselves Qur'ani.
No, we don't do that. We don't call ourselves Qur'ani. No, we don't. You guys are the ones calling us that. As a matter of fact, what is wrong with these bozos, for God's sake? We don't call ourselves Qur'ani. You are the ones calling us Qur'anist and Qur'aniyun. For God's sake. What is wrong with these bozos? What?
But I don't think that title really fits well.
Yeah.
You don't think? You guys gave us. You should tell your scholars that. Tell them that title doesn't fit. Please help us. Tell your scholars that title doesn't fit. We don't need it. We said we are Muslims, and you say we call ourselves Quranists. If you see anybody out there calling themselves Quranists, no, they are not part of us. We are Muslims according to the Quran. That's all we said. We never said we are Quranists. What name is that? Was the Prophet a Quranist? Is that a name? No. When you ever see us using that slogan, we are using it because you claim we are Quranists. So we use it in order to mock you back. Yes. Because if you say I'm a Quranist, then you have to accept that the Prophet is a Quranist. The question is, did he follow any other book apart from the Quran? The answer is no. So if that is the case, that means the Prophet is a Quranist. They will say, no, he's not. So if he is not, why call me a Quranist? How? If you say somebody is a scientist, you say somebody is you mention everything with the cyst. Terrorists, tourists, you mention it. Cultists, everything with the tis. It means that thing you love the most. That thing you follow it a lot. That thing you participate in it a lot. That's why the tis is added. If you call us Quranists, again, you are telling us we don't follow the Quran. We even have bozoists. Yeah, thank you, MFG. There is bozoists. Because they've bozofied themselves to the extent they are bozoists. You know the bozoists, the ones I call bozos, not normally, the mushriks. So if you call me Quranist, it means you are admitting that the Quran is all I follow. I love the Quran so much. But again, the mushrik will tell you that these people reject the Quran. They will tell us that they say we are Quran rejectors. Again, they will say, hey, by the way, there is Bukhari-rist also. Bukhari-rist. And these guys, the ones I'm doing their video, they are Bukhari-rist. I'm going to prove to you. They are going to speak about Bukhari, you see. Let's go.
It's a misnomer.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And the reason being is because they would say that you don't need to be a Muslim and to make it to Jannah and to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow his messenger.
When did we say that? You don't need to be a Muslim? Hey, these are big claims. So this guy is making big statement here. This is what God says. God made a statement here. Let me put the statement on the screen, right? I maximize this verse. Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can maximize it. Now check this verse on the screen, right? Oh, what did I just do? Chapter 3, verse 102. This is what God says. He says, "O you who believe, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun." So he says, "O you who believe, reference God, that is, have the fear of God, beware of God." Then he says, as he deserved to be referenced, right, or revered. Then he says, and do not die except while you are submitters, that is, whilst you are Muslims. Oh. For those on TikTok, can you see me online? Because it's saying no connection. It's saying my connection disconnected. What happened? For those on TikTok, please, if you can see me, let me know. It says my network disconnected. Is it true? Those on TikTok, can you see me? It's giving me a notice that my network on TikTok got disconnected. Please, if you can see me, give me thumbs up. If you can see me, give me thumbs up. Can you see me now? Yeah, thank you. Alma, I see a message. Yeah, thank you for all those who are here. On TikTok, I just got a notice that my network got disconnected. So if you are there, thank you. Stay put. Yeah. So in Quran chapter 3, verse 102, yeah. Verse 102, it says, "O you who believe, reference God as he deserves to be referenced, and do not die except while you are submitters." So that statement the person is saying, there's a problem with his statement, and he's actually lying. I don't know which version of Quran alone followers he spoke to, and then they have to tell him that. Because these people know so well that whatever we say, they want to ask us, is it in the Quran? That's what they do. Have you ever had a discussion with a Sunni or a mushrik? When you're having discussion, whatever claim you make, he will ask you, is it in the Quran? Because he wants to know how well you know the Quran, right? So they are very good at that. So how come when this person made that statement, you couldn't prove with the verses of God? But now I'll break down that instance. Then you understand what is being stated there. Okay, so let's go back to the video.
All right.
This brother is making Zama Hussein says, "Salam Baba Shuaib, I'm reiterating it again. Didn't mean to offend or advise you with my comment. Hope you understand." I understand you, brother Zama Hussein. My video that I did, listen, that video, that statement I made, that comment I made wasn't personally thrown at you. It is a generalized statement I made. So it wasn't like I was fishing you out alone and throwing a punch at you. No. It is based on the statement you threw. I've seen similar type of statements like that. So in order to answer, I need to make it like a package, not just because it's you or throwing it jabs at you. No. I'm doing it as a generalized statement for anybody who has a similar type of notion or with an ill manner against me, throwing that kind of statement at me. That is the answer, but not like to single-handedly put you there and say I'm throwing a reply at you. No. What I want you to understand is, on that day, the comment you wrote, I'm not against everything you said in the comment. Right? But the point is, when it goes to the point where you say, somebody in my position, I need to be humble, I don't need to be arrogant, that is the point I was addressing. Because I don't get the notion of why should that statement be coming from a person in such a manner to me? In which sense? You, Zama Hussein, where in my platform have you ever commented and I will throw insult or I'll be arrogant at you? I don't have any platform where I said something against you personally. But then, so what will push you in that position to go to the extent and you think you have the right to give me that kind of advice in the public? So I have the right to also throw back. But it wasn't a personal offense saying that I'm throwing something against. No. So it is a generalized statement I'm addressing for anybody who has a similar thoughts that you presented on that day. So it's not impersonal. So understand that. So I understand you as well, but I'm just addressing that issue for the public's sake, because I know a lot of people out there will take that in the context, in a different context against me as well. Thank you. Thank you all for those who are joining. We have Muhammad Irshad, we have Bimbaz, Bar Salim, and so on. You are all welcome. Thank you for your presence. We have, yes, thank you for understanding also. Peace. So let's continue with the bozos. The bozos we have, let's continue with what they have to offer to us, right? So keep your fingers crossed. Hello, H, you're welcome. Let's go.
You don't need the sunnah. You don't need any hadith, right?
Yes.
So and the reason why I say that doesn't match, and I believe this is why you're saying that title of being a Quran doesn't match, is because there is no Islam without the sayings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the teachings and implementation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
That is a stupid statement. Islam didn't start with Prophet Muhammad. That is how bozofied these people are. Wallahi. That is how bozofied these people are. Seriously. Islam didn't start with Prophet Muhammad. Please, for God's sake. For people who are thinking Islam started in the 7th century, please think again. Please, let me help you out. Islam is the act of submission. It's a noun. The word Islam is a noun. It is submission. And submission never started with Prophet Muhammad. Submission has been there with the prophets before Muhammad. You understand? However, in order to propagate it to the Arab world, it was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, God has to use to propagate Islam to that side of the world. But it doesn't mean entirely Islam started in the Arabian Peninsula. So this is the misconception the Bukharists and the Hadithists and the whatever-ists, this is what they think. They think that Islam started with Prophet Muhammad. So they keep saying without Prophet Muhammad, there will be no Islam. This is the foolishness. I keep hearing them repeat themselves. And they think they are making sense. Are you getting my point? Yes, salam to you, Shurulini. You're welcome. So now, let's check this verse. We go to Quran chapter 42. Verse 13. Verse 13 to verse 14. Let's check the verse. So God says, He says, Shara alakum min ad-din ma wassa bihi Nuha. Then He says what? Wallazi awhayna ilayka wa ma wassayna bihi Ibrahima wa Musa wa Isa. Then He says, An akimu dina, in order to establish the deen. Then He says, Wala tatafarraku fihi. And then do not be separated therein. So it was the same religion. For people who are telling you there's no religion, Islam is not a religion, just ask them this simple question. Ask them, do you believe in God? They will say yes. Do you believe in angels? They will say yes. Do you believe in messengers? They will say yes. Do you believe God sent down books? They will say yes. Most of these things you are saying yes. Have you seen them with your eye? No. Do you believe God controls your destiny? They will say yes. That is a religion. What is the definition of a religion? Believing in a supernatural being who controls your destiny. That is religion. Then when it comes to religion, we have man-made religion. If you say Islam is not a man-made religion, I agree. But if you say Islam is not a religion, you have a problem with the way you define words. Are you getting my point? Anybody who tells you he believes in God, he's religious. Anybody who tells you, I believe in God, he's religious by definition. I'm serious. Because when you believe in God, you have to put your faith in God. Yes. And you can never ever believe in God without any rituals. You believe in God, you do rituals, whether you like it or not. You have one way or the other some rituals you do to God, no matter what. It's either when you wake up in the morning, you have to glorify God. You have to say, thank you, God, for giving me life. It's either when you are going to eat, you mention the name. You do rituals one way or the other, so far as you believe in God. Are you getting my point? So for people who are telling you, oh, Islam is not a religion, so they are just playing with your conscience. Allow them to play. It's okay. So he has legislated for you of the religion. Because when there is Din al-Haq, Quran chapter 61 verse 9, God says, Huwa allazi arasala rasulahu bil huda, then he says wa din al haq. Now when he says din al haq, it means there is din al batil. It means there is a religion of falsehood. That is why God says din al haq. If something has the truth, it means there is false of that version of that same thing. This is common sense. Look, anything you have original, you can have fake. And anything you have fake, you can have original. And anything which has falsehood, it has the truth on the side. If you say there is yes answer, there is always no. It's common sense. If you say there is positive, there's always negative also. You can't have positive without negative. You can't have yes without no. You can't have the truth without falsehood. You can't have light without darkness. God has created a balance for everything. So if God says he has sent his messenger with the guidance and the religion of truth, then you have some Muslims who are telling you Islam is not a religion. Then what it is? Then that same thing you are defining. Do you believe there's a fake version of that? Whatever thing you are defining, do you know there's a fake version of it? Because God sends the religion of truth, the din al-haq. So that it means there is a din al-batil, of falsehood. Are you getting my point? So it's just the way you want to define, but it's still religion. Religion has different classifications. There is man-made religion, which is an institutionalized religion, which means people have to give you laws and legislations and rules to follow. Now, coming back to Quran chapter 42, verse 13, God says he has legislated for you of the religion which he advised to Noah. Because what is the aspect of the religion? It's believing in God. Put your faith in God. Believe in the day of judgment. That is a religion, for God's sake. That is a religion. What it is? You believe in God. Have you seen God before? Have you seen God before? Where did you see God? You tell me, where? Where did you see God? In your house? Have you seen God before? You believe in God. Have you seen the day of judgment before? No, you believe. You put your faith. That is religion, for God's sake. That is religion. Is believing in a supernatural being who controls your destiny. And whether you like it or not, he has destined the day you are going to die. Whether you like it or not, he is the one who destined the day you were born. Were you the one who chose it? Do you think if God negotiated with you to choose which family, do you think you would choose that poor family you were born? I'm serious. You will have chosen Elon Musk to be your relative already. And so that you can use all the Teslas he has. Who doesn't want easiness in his life? Are you getting my point? So when we say religion, we are not trying to complete. I don't know what the hatred people have for the sectarians, for the mushriks. You understand? They try to concoct everything, bring new meanings to everything. Hey! Oh. Let's continue. Anyways, he has legislated for you of the religion which he advised to Noah, and which we inspired to you, Muhammad, and which we advised to Abraham. And then it goes, Moses and Jesus, that establish the religion. Because it's based on faith. You've never seen God before. The idea of establishing a religion is to have a religion where you can show your submission to God. A lot of things involving God, because it is because of God you are here. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Quran chapter 51 verse 6. God did not create the jinns and the humans except to worship him. That is to serve him. You are here, you have to adore God. If you don't love God, he doesn't love you. It's just like you love a woman who doesn't love you. Whether you keep loving her, you are wasting your time. So if you don't love God, how can God love you? You need to love God to get the love back. Simple. So then God says, and do not be separated. That means we have to get together somewhere. We have to be in a group. We have to unify. We have to have united, front where we have a common goal towards God. That's why we don't need to be separated. Therein, it is difficult for the word mushriks, what you invite them there to. Just like we are inviting these bozos on the screen, the mushriks. We invite them to the Quran. They are inviting us to garbage book. Then he says, God chooses whomever he wills to it and guides whoever repents to him. Yes, if you repent to God, he'll guide you because you're willing to be guided by God. And this is religion for God's sake, because God has to be in charge. You have to surrender to him to make the decision. That is religion. What else can it be? What else do you want it to be? Hey! Anyways, when you continue to verse 14 and say, and they did not separate except after what had come to them of the knowledge. And this is what causes separation always. Knowledge will divide people. Out of injustice between them. The only way to establish the truth is come. If you say Baba Shuaib is lying, come, I dare you. Come, let's sit down one-on-one and establish the truth and see the liar on that day. Come. That is how you establish the truth. It is out of injustice. When there is knowledge has been established, out of injustice, you will see people trying to take sides, deviating away from the truth. When you tell them, come, let's have a seat, let's battle it out and see who is lying, they will never come. The mushriks do the same. The mega hypocrites do the same. They will never come. They are scared of Baba Shuaib's platform. Somebody who is advocating the Quran, who is propagating the Quran, who you hypocrites, you still need me in your team to fight the mushriks. Yes. Unless if you want to use that, so your superheroes, the mega minded guy to say that's such an embarrassment on Hyde Park. You push him there. When Adnan Rashid proved to him even something in the Quran, he says, they ask him, do you stand to be correct? He says, no. Oh, yeah. So he says, out of injustice between them. And if not a word had proceeded from your Lord for a fixed term, then he says what? He will have judged between them. Indeed, those who inherited the book after them are in doubt thereof, being suspicious. That is the problem. People are doubting a lot of things. Hey, Baba Shuaib, there's no ritual in the Quran. I don't agree with you. I doubt it. Oh yeah, if you doubt it, nobody is forcing you. Can you prove me wrong? Baba Shuaib is here. Come to my platform. Let's have a dialogue. Because this is where Baba Shuaib sits and talks to the masses and talks to the world. If I'm lying to the masses, come to Baba Shuaib platform. That is where I will set you up as a scapegoat and show how a fool you are for thinking Baba Shuaib is here to mislead the people. Wallahi, this time no mercy for everybody. Let's go. So now let's continue with the bozos, thinking that Islam started with Prophet Muhammad. Let's continue.
Definitely, without a doubt.
So yeah, this ideology, unfortunately, has been spreading like a virus, and I don't, I'm not trying.
So he says this ideology has been spreading like a virus. Now this is where it shows how scared they are. Are you getting the point? It shows how scared they are. He says this ideology, Quran alone, is spreading like a virus. Now, the moment when you see scientists make such a statement, when you see doctors make such a statement, when you see scholars make such a statement, when you see Bukharists and the Hadithiyuns make such a statement, this is alarming in their head. This is a problem for them. A big problem. It's like a pandemic. Are you getting the point? It's like a pandemic for them. So now these guys are there to express their feeling to us and to their scholars. So now I brought this video specifically to assess the kind of issues they have against us. So now let's observe.
To, shed a harmful light on it and kind of come at anyone, right? Without, not too hard at least. But the point I'm making here is that the ideology, we would say, has no basis of fact, nor or truth, or it has no basis to the.
If you say the ideology has no basics of facts or truth, why do you think the people are now accepting that? Does it make sense? Why do you think the people now are coming to it? So somebody will say, then how come the mushriks, the Sunnis, the Shias, they dominated? Because they first came with the truth. That is why Quran chapter 2 verse 42, it says, وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. It says, do not cover the truth with falsehood, in order to conceal the truth while you know. Because in the first place, what people normally do is they mix the truth with falsehood. So first of all, when a liar wants to lie to you, he presents to you the truth first, because he needs to buy your trust. Then he will start pushing the falsehood behind. Are you getting it? So mix the truth with falsehood. So the scholars of the Sunnis you are watching, the scholars of the Shia you are watching, it doesn't mean they don't speak the truth at all. Sometimes they tell you the truth subconsciously. They do. I'm serious. It doesn't mean they are always telling lies. Sometimes they tell you the truth subconsciously. Yes. Because they cannot be liars forever. So sometimes in between, they throw the truth to you. You get how it works. So now, in order for you to keep relying on them is to mix it. They mix it so that it becomes hard for you to decipher and know the difference. And that is exactly what they did with the Hadith books. And based on this video, I'm going to expose that issue for you. So anticipate.
Claims.
Right. Because the Quran itself indicates that you need to obey Allah and obey the messenger.
We don't have a problem with that. The Quran indicates we need to obey God and obey the messenger. It's not a problem, but there's a problem with their understanding. So let's assess the understanding.
100%, no doubt. I guess that leaves the question open to, and all right, obeying Allah, sure, following His commandments that are in the Quran.
Yes.
Obeying Allah, following the commandments that's in the Quran. First of all, how did the Quran get to us? I need to obey the messenger, because the Quran didn't get to me miraculously. It came through a man. So when they mention obey Allah, they try to separate it, and then they will say that is the Quran. Now check what they are going to do.
The question is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهِ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولِ, right? Obey Allah and obey the messenger, right? The question here is, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean by obeying the messenger?
You should ask the Quran that question. What does God mean by obey the messenger? This is how simple the answers can be when you are following the Quran and studying the Quran. Because the Quran is a book of guidance. So where do you expect to get these answers from? Hello? Where are you expecting to get these answers? This guy is asking. It's the book of guidance, the Quran. But my problem with the bozos like this is they ask a question, they leave the Quran aside, then they guess the answer. So I'm going to show you how they guess. Listen.
And the pushback from these hadith rejectors would be that following the Quran is following the messenger.
The pushback from the hadith rejectors is that following the Quran is following the messenger. Of course, because what book did the messenger follow? He followed the Quran. Who delivered the Quran? The messenger. So if I follow the Quran, am I not following the messenger? For God's sake. So let's go and check the Quran. It's like sometimes I don't know how their brain works, right? It's just like, how will I say? It's just a twisted let me give you this verse. Quran chapter 24 Quran chapter 5 verse 67. This is the first verse I'm putting here. In Quran chapter 5 verse 67, I put it on the screen. Now check this verse. God says, "O you the messenger, convey, meaning to deliver, right? Convey what has been revealed to you from your Lord. And if you do not, then you have not conveyed or delivered his message. Then he says, but God will protect you from the people. Indeed, God does not guide the disbelieving people. Are you getting the point here? Yes. Thank you very much. Zachary says, it's 2 a.m. here in Mogadishu, Somalia. I'm gonna crash. Good night, everybody. Peace. Peace to you, brother Zachary. You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Habi Wanasan. Habi Wanasan. Okay. So this is God speaking in this verse, telling the messenger his duty and what he has to do. So he has to deliver a message. And if he does not, then he has not delivered the messages of God. Okay. So now if he delivers the message, I need to obey the message. So now this is what God says. Quran chapter 24, verse 54. In Quran chapter 24, verse 54, it says, say, obey God and obey the messenger. But if you turn away, then upon him is only what has been imposed, and upon you is what you have been imposed. The idea is he has to deliver the message, and you have to obey the message. If you obey the messenger, you are obeying who? God. Simple equation. Let's break it down. And if you obey him, you will be guided. Because if you obey him, he's telling you what God says. That is the messenger. That's the subject. If you obey him, he's telling you what God asked him to deliver. So if you obey him, you will be guided. That is why the Quran is the book of guidance. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. It's a book, guidance for those who fear God, right? Okay. So he says, and if you obey him, you will be guided. And only, I repeat, and only the clear notification is upon the messenger. That is why God asked him to deliver it. Quran chapter 5, verse 67. He has to deliver that message. So when he delivers it, your duty is to obey the messenger. So now let's go. Chapter 4, verse 80. In chapter 4, verse 80, this is what God says. He says, Man yuti'i rasula faqad ata Allah. Whoever obeys the messenger, thence he has obeyed God. Then he says, Waman tawalla fama arsalnaka alayhim hafiza. So God says, then, but whoever turns away, then we have not sent you, Muhammad. Sent means a messenger. We have not sent you as a guardian over them. How is that difficult to understand? How is that difficult to understand? The messenger's duty is one, to deliver. Has he delivered? Yes. Where is the book? Quran. What else? God says, وَمَا عَلَى رَسُولِ إِلَّا بَلَاغُ مُبِينٌ. What is the balag? The Quran. You don't believe this is the Quran is the balag? No. Ladies and you don't believe the Quran is the balag? Oh, sorry, not this one. It's Quran chapter 14. Chapter 14, right? Verse 52. Here. Quran chapter 14, verse 52. You don't believe the Quran is a balag? So let's check what it says. God says, Haza balagun linnas. Walitunziru waliyunzaru bihi waliya'lamu annama huwa ilahun wahid. Then he says, waliyazakkara ulul albab. So it says, this is notification. This is balag. This, the book you're reading, the Quran, God says, Haza balagun linnas. So this is notification for the people. So that they may be warned by it. And that they may know that he is one God, so that those of intelligence will be reminded. I think this down part is a mistake, so we will fix it. In the name of God, it appears it's a coding error, so we will fix it, inshallah. So now this is the verse. Haza balagun linnas. This is the balag for the people. You have the book with you. It is the balag for the people. What else? because it is there so that you'll be won by it. So if you want to understand, when you read, you see here it's mentioned bihi. This bihi is a masculine pronoun, bihi. And the masculine pronoun, it is addressed as a reference for the Quran or for the book. So God uses a masculine pronoun. So it is by the Quran which you are going to use to warn the people. And that is the balag. And that is what God asked the messenger to deliver. If he doesn't deliver, he has not delivered the messages of God. So that is the point. So when I obey the Quran, I'm obeying God because the messenger delivered the Quran. So man yuti'i rasula faqad ata Allah. But the mushriks, they have a different concept because they rather listen to their scholars to give them answers instead of listening to God to answer their questions. So let's go back.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't redundant, right?
Exactly.
He wouldn't say the same thing twice in the same sentence for no apparent reason, right?
In other words, you're saying it would have just said obey Allah and the messenger. Why not? Why is Allah saying?
Why is Allah subhanahu wa
Guys, listen to the stupid statement they are saying here.
ta'ala making a distinction between saying obey Allah and the messenger, right? If obeying the messenger is obeying Allah, then why that you're essentially saying Allah, saying obey Allah and obey Allah, right?
Oh my God, for God's sake, what is wrong with these people? Listen to the statement he just said.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making a distinction between saying obey Allah and the messenger, right? If obeying the messenger is obeying Allah, then why that you're essentially saying Allah, saying obey Allah and obey Allah, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Whose father, whose brother is this? Whose relative is this? Please, you have to check. He was born by mistake. Like, what is this? What statement is he saying? What was that English? See,
why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making a distinction between saying obey Allah and the messenger, right? If obeying the messenger is obeying Allah, then why that you're essentially saying Allah, saying obey Allah and obey Allah, right? But here,
what is this? God literally says in Quran chapter 4 verse 80, the verse I just came from, it says, Man yuti rasula faqad ata Allah. Whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed God. That's what God says. But you see, did you hear what this person was trying to say? Like, I don't know if he thinks he's making sense. And he left it on his podcast, for God's sake. Whose relative is this? Hey.
not only that, but in Arabic and even in English to some extent, the word wa, right, means some sort of addition to the information that came before it. So if you say X, Y, and Z and 1, 2, 3, that means 1, 2, 3 isn't included with the same thing as X, Y, and Z.
You are stupid, for God's sake. You are very, very, very stupid. Wallahi. Please, when you are drinking tea, first of all, you have water, hot water. You put the tea inside the same tea, and you add sugar inside your, I don't use sugar, by the way. I use brown sugar or honey. So you had honey. Is it not in the same tea? You are drinking tea. That tea you are drinking, you have summarized it because you added things to summarize it in one place. So what is wrong in saying I'm drinking hot water and sugar and tea together? Is that a problem? Or I can summarize it to say I'm drinking tea. Simple. Because the moment you say tea, the intellectual person you are talking to knows you have summarized everything together. Means you have added either honey or sugar, and you have added the tea leaf, and you have added the word hot water. That is the definition of tea. Bozo for you. When God says the Quran and he says obey God and obey the messenger, it is a package and still the same package. What is wrong with these bozos? That is why God says whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed God. It's a one package. What is wrong? My son Salim, my son will be thinking, Wallahi, to be honest, I was in the city with my son. He saw a man wearing a skirt. Wallahi, I'm not joking. My son, he saw a man wearing a skirt. Wallahi, my son asked me, is the man okay? That's the question Salim asked me. He says, Baba, look, is this man okay? I'm not joking. Wallahi, wallahi. My son literally asked me. A man who was wearing a skirt. No offense to those boys based in Scotland or something, yeah, because that is a tradition. But my son saw a man where he asked me, Baba, is this man okay? He can literally see the difference. And that, you see, when you are listening to bozos like this is where my son will be asking, what is that? Asking him, what is wrong with that man? I'm serious. What? Look, one day I went to the washroom with my kids. I have to brush their teeth, right? So sometimes the toothbrush they have has different colors. So my girl's toothbrush hers is pink, and the boy's toothbrush is blue. Sometimes he has green, right? And one day I was in there with them in order to brush the teeth, and I mistakenly took my daughter's toothbrush and I took my son's toothpaste. So I put the toothpaste on her toothbrush, and I gave my son my daughter's toothbrush. Wallahi lazim, God bear me witness. When I laid my hand forward to give to my son, he was going backwards and looking at me with a shocking face. He was reversing. So I keep chasing him, like, take it. And then I didn't realize the mistake I did. And he kept going reverse, and he was looking at me with a smiling face and then doing his eyes like this, looking at me in the eye. So I thought he was joking. Then he says, this is how he called me. You know, when you think somebody is not okay, and then you'll be like, Baba? Wallahi, my son, he just called me in that way. He says, Baba? Then he look at me like this. He knows something is not okay. So the moment he called me Baba, I just realized, hey, something is wrong. So I look at the brush and I saw my daughter's brush in my hand. My son is thinking, what is wrong with this man? You understand? And it happens to every parent. I'm not joking. This is something that can happen to every parent, right? Sometimes your brain gets so stuck up that you can even confuse your kids' names, or you confuse they are something. It's normal. It happens, right? So when it happened, my son called my attention, but in a funny way. He looked at me in a doubtful way, going backwards, and he's like, Baba? I just look at him, I'm like, wow. I'm like, something is wrong. So I had to take the brush away, take the toothpaste off, because his has the age limit, the toothpaste he is using. And my daughter's own is, for the people about, kids above 7. So he called my attention. You understand? He was using the brain, because the father uses the brain a lot. So he was using his brain, and he called my attention. You understand? Now, when you are listening to these bozos like this, you need to be extra careful and use your brain 3 times smarter than them, because they will look. Their appearance will please you. This is Surah Al-Munafiqun, the way God described hypocrites. These people, their appearance will please you. Their qualifications, their degrees, you understand? Their lofty, the life they live. Some of them live luxurious life, like, you understand? They will please you. You might think that is the end of everything. It is when that person starts spewing that hibijibis, that hula baloo, you get to know something is wrong somewhere up there in the head, to be honest. So there are certain things they say, you need to use their own words against them. So you need to scrutinize the things they say. Then you start asking them questions. Yes, and this is why, Baba Shuaib, when I do videos like this, I want to be confronted. Come. That's why, Baba Shuaib, my platform is open. Come. Any video of me you watch, anything you hear me say, and you think I'm misleading the people, I'm lying, I'm available. Please Put me to the test and see if I know what I'm saying or I don't know what I'm saying. I'll prove to you and show you that you are rather ignorant. To be honest. Yes. So I'm well prepared before I speak, especially the enemy we are dealing with. These enemies, they are 10 times bigger than us. They have the biggest platforms, they have the biggest audience, they have the biggest whatever, but they find us as a threat. Why do you think they find us as a threat? Because the argument we are presenting is piercing them. The argument we are presenting is piercing them. Yes. So they find us as a threat. Yes. And that is why we are the ones rather calling them for a dialogue. And they are running. So it tells you something. We are calling them for dialogue. They are running. My brother MFG can bear witness to that. Muhammad from God. Sometimes we do send messages to them to come for that. They will not come. They will not. No. Because they will lose that money. They will lose their audience and they will lose that money. They will lose it. Because they are not being truthful. They are not doing this for the sake of God. Are you getting my point? Of course, they are chicken. They are chickens. They are running. You know, chicken will always run, right? So let's continue.
Right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sorry, that part has ended. Let me go to the next video. The same people again. Then the next video from them, right? Let me jump on the next video. So the next video, I name it the part 2. So part 2, this is what they were talking about.
Right? From this falsehood, right? But you're essentially saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that no one will change it, yet other people were allowed to corrupt it. So here, anyone, just to ask the question again, anyone that makes takdeeb, says anything in the Quran is not true, is a what?
Kafir.
Khalas. And I'm not putting that label on anyone, right? But that just goes to show why, if you reject hadith, then you in turn reject Quran. That is not even dealing with the fact of, all right, why do you reject hadith? What is the main answer that these hadith rejectors are saying is the reason as to why they reject hadith?
Basically, they'll say we cannot trust the words of men because there's no way to verify, and Allah never said that He was going to protect other than the Quran. That's their claim.
Okay, fair enough. There's a couple of points that you made. You made 2 different points.
Yes.
The first point was that we can't trust men.
Yes.
Right. The first thing is the same men that we say are transmitting these hadith that are authentic. Right. There's a distinction there, and I'll make the distinction in a second to answer the second point you made. But the same ones that are transmitting these hadith are the same ones that transmitted the Quran. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, first Jibreel alayhi salam didn't reveal the Quran to me or you, right? We didn't hear the words directly from Jibreel or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? How do we know today that the Quran? How can we be confident that every single word in this book here is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You didn't hear it directly from Jibreel alayhi salam. You didn't hear it directly from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How do you know?
Guys, it's just like when you listen to these people and then they are telling their lies, and then the confidence they have and they are saying all these stupid things is mind-boggling. He's saying things, lying about things that their scholars keep repeating, and they cannot justify those claims. They keep repeating it because when you repeat the lie for so long, it starts to sound like the truth to people. When you repeat the truth for when you repeat a lie for so long, it starts to sound like the truth to people. So when you listen to these people, that when they are talking to them, they think they are saying the truth. It is when you hold them one-on-one in a dialogue, then you realize, then they realize that they are not making sense. In a dialogue, one-on-one. Now, there's something he said at the end. Like, I'll play the video, but there's something he said at the end. Let's catch that part.
وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ, right? From this falsehood, right? But you're essentially saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that no one will change it, yet other people were allowed to corrupt it.
They were allowed to corrupt what? Other people were allowed to corrupt what? The book of God? They corrupted the book of God? Where does it say that any book of God is corrupted? Where? The point we are saying is, for example, God never revealed a book called Bible. The book called Bible, what they did is, they actually fixated certain books and then they started giving it names. Then they say, this is the Torah, this is the Injil, this is the Tanakh, this is the this. They give it names God never mentioned anywhere. That is the book he revealed. Are you getting my point? So they formulated books already and gave it their own names to the book. So that is not from God. Fine, you can find something inside which is from God, because God confirms that thing from their book, but it does not make their book from God. So that is the argument of the Bible. Now let's come to the Quran. Which Quran are you talking about corruption going inside? Because as a matter of fact, God says he revealed the Quran. So we are coming to the notion where you people will be speaking about the Hafs and the Warsh and Al-Duri and so on. We are coming to that point. But let's analyze what this guy is saying to that extent when the scholars like throwing that argument to the table. So let's check.
So here, anyone, just to ask the question again, anyone that makes takdeeb, says anything in the Quran is not true, is a what? Khalas. And I mean,
good. So he says anyone that says anything in the Quran is a lie is a kafir. Fine. That is from the Quran, so you have to believe. So this is what God says. In Quran chapter 2, verse 85. This is what God says concerning believing in what God has revealed. So Quran chapter 2, verse 85, God says, there's a part of the verse I want you to see. He says, do you believe? Let me maximize it. He says, do you believe in part of the book and disbelieve in parts? Because when God reveals a book, you don't need to disbelieve in part and believe in part. Are you getting my point? So you have to believe in the entirety of the book. Now, remember, believing is different from following. You are supposed to follow the Quran, but you are not going to follow everything from the Quran. For people who don't understand what I'm saying, I repeat, you are supposed to believe in the entirety of the Quran, but you are not supposed to follow everything you see in the Quran. There's a difference. So let me explain that. Quran chapter 39, and we go to 55. God says, and follow the best of what has been revealed to you in plural form from your Lord before the punishment comes to you in plural form, surprisingly, while you in plural form do not perceive. So follow the best of what has been revealed. So what God has revealed, you have to follow the best. Now let me give you an example. When you take the Quran, we see the stories of Pharaoh. It's in the Quran. Are you supposed to follow everything concerning Pharaoh? The answer is no. When you take the Quran, you see the story of Iblis, the devil. Are you supposed to follow the footsteps of the Iblis in the Quran? The answer is no. You see Qarun, his stories are in the Quran. Are you supposed to follow his footsteps? The answer is no. Are you getting my point? We see the shayateen, some jinns who are devils. Are you supposed to follow their footsteps? No. But where do you find them? You find them in the Quran. So that is why God says clearly, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ, Quran chapter 2, verse 208. He says, do not follow the footsteps of the devil. But where do you find the footsteps of the devil? God has made it clear in the Quran. It explains to you about the devil. You understand? So we see the story of Pharaoh. You find it in the Quran. Are you supposed to follow his footsteps? No, but it's in the Quran. So I'm not supposed to follow everything, but I need to believe in the entirety of the message. So this is what some people don't understand. You understand? So there's a difference between following and believing. Believing, yes, everything. But following, not everything I need to follow. I need to check the message which is in line with my style, or what I can, which will suit the position or situation I am in. That is why God gave you life lessons concerning Musa, Isa, Yusuf, Suleiman. You mentioned it. Noah. Whatever situation you will be in today, prophets and messengers have been in before. I'm talking about situation where God is trying to give you guidance concerning your livelihood. Whatever livelihood you find yourself, other prophets have been inside before. If it is money, you think you are wealthy and you lose your money, Prophet Job has been in the situation before. If you are a king and you lost your kingdom, we have Suleiman who has been in that situation of kingdom before. If you are whatever you are, and you are a warrior and you think you can lead people to war, Prophet Muhammad has been in the situation before. Suleiman has been in the situation before. You mention it. Ibrahim, if you think you are with the people who don't agree with you and they hate you so much, they want to banish you, they want to attack you, Ibrahim has been in the situation before. So you mention which kind of life experience you will be in that God has not laid down the lessons and examples from the prophets and the messengers. You tell me. Tell me that you have brothers that hate you and they want to kill you so bad. Yes, Joseph has been in the situation before. Are you getting my point? So tell me, where will you be in? Where, you're working for your boss and his wife want to sleep with you. Joseph has been in the situation before. So tell me, is it new? You are in a community where it's full of homosexuals, so you think homosexual, hey, God is going to destroy us, these people are homosexuals. You are not propagating homosexuality, but the community you don't have control. So let God take charge, but pray to God to take you out of such place when something is going to happen. But you are not in control. So God knows who is a believer and who is not. There is no situation you find yourself today that has never happened to any prophet or messenger before. I'm serious. You think you are homeless? Somebody else is taking care of you? Pharaoh, who called himself God, he took care of Moses. Yeah. If you think you are in UK or you think you are in USA, you are living in the house of atheists, you are living in the house of agnostic, you are living in the house of people who are satanists, and you think God, hey, remember, Moses grew up in the house of Pharaoh. But it doesn't mean he agrees with Pharaoh. Are you getting my point? So it's not, you are not the first. People, prophets, messengers have been in worse scenarios than you. So God laid down this foundation by using these messengers and prophets as an example for you to learn from. Why do you think their stories are there in the Quran? Do you think it's just a storybook? You just take and say, and Moses divided the sea, and God is trying to tell you that he will make a way where you think there is no way. That's what faith is about. Common sense. Are you getting my point? Baba Shuaib, I've been in the worst of scenarios in my life where I lost all hope. All I need to do is to make ablution and go in the night time and stand in front of God and tell God my needs and desires. I was crying with tears. And here is Baba Shuaib sitting here today, telling you the message from God. All is well. Bygone is bygone. That's me sitting here. Understand? He has done it to the prophets and the messengers. What makes you think he cannot do the same for you? Hey, look, even the devil, he prayed to God to respite him till the day of judgment. Did God answer or not? So if God has answered the devil's prayer, you think God has forsaken you? That is why you need to read Quran chapter 93, Surah Duha, and understand what God was telling the prophet. He has not forsaken you. Just because for some limited problems you face, you think God is not answering your prayers. He has heard you. But do you have the patience? Because he says the human being is in haste. We are always in a hurry. We want things right now. My son asked me for ice cream. The ice cream is in the freezer. And I told him to wait. Do you know what my son asked me? He says, Baba, what am I waiting for? The ice cream is in the freezer. That's what my son told me. Yes, it's true. The ice cream is in the freezer. My son said, Baba, can I have that? I said, no. He says, but Baba, why? I said, okay, wait. When I say wait, he says, what are we waiting for? He says, I can take it myself. Let him take it now. You understand? The human being wants that when he tell God, God, give me this right now, it will just come. God will help you through people. Who helped Joseph? Yusuf, when he was put in the pit, his brothers connived to do something against him. They put him in the pit. Who helped him? Somebody out of nowhere came and took him and went and took him to Misra, to Egypt. Are you getting my point? And then all of a sudden, he got a chance to work with the Aziz, and all of a sudden, he's with the king, and he became prominent out of nowhere. Moses, he's running away from Pharaoh, thinking Pharaoh is going to kill him because he killed somebody by mistake. You think Moses was the first to, you think you are the first to be in that situation where you have committed or you have been accused of murder and you run away from your country? You are not the first. You understand? Moses didn't kill the person intentionally, but that is murder. So they are looking for him. He ran away. And he went to seek asylum in Midian. He became successful. He came back. You are not the first. God has laid down the foundation by using his prominent servants to give you the example so that they serve as role models. Quran chapter 6 verse 90. Ulaika allazina ada Allah fabi'udahum iqtadi. By their guidance, God is going to guide you through their footsteps. So the prophets and the messengers, they are stories you find in the Quran to serve as inspiration, to serve as a lesson, to serve as a motivation, to serve as a promise. And let me back it up. Quran chapter 24, verse 55. Check it for yourself. So God says, God has promised those who believe among you the believers, and do good deeds. If you are doing good deeds, you believe and you're doing good deeds, listen carefully, that he will grant them succession on earth just as he granted those before them succession. Then he said, and will firmly establish their religion. Listen carefully, for them. Then he says, which he has approved, just as he approved the religion for Musa, Isa, Ibrahim, Noah on earth. He will do the same for you. All you need to believe and do righteous deeds. Then he says, for them, and he will substitute for them security. After what? Their fear. We have all been in fear before, but then all of a sudden God will give you security. We have people who are based in Afghanistan and they believe in the Quran alone. We have people based in Bangladesh and they believe in Quran alone. We have people based in Nigeria. They believe in Quran alone and they are still alive. They have security. We have people based in Pakistan. They believe in Quran alone and they are still alive. They have security. He made a promise so far as you give him the genuine form of the religion, he wants you to practice. Just be sincere with God and see if he will not protect you. He will give you the security. If Prophet Muhammad can live within the Arabs, the worst of enemies against him, and he was still alive, they couldn't touch him, they couldn't kill him. What makes you think you are less if you can be in the same footstep? That is why we have them as inspirational role models. So now the verse says, after their fear, then he says, worshiping me without associating anything with me, and whoever disbelieves after that, then those are the immoral ones. So God made a promise. And remember, La yukhlifu mi'ad. God never breaks a promise. What is making you doubt God? So you think you are just reading the story of Joseph for story's sake? God is giving you a lesson there. He can do the same for you. You think you are just reading the story of Solomon? He was a king. He can do the same for you. It is not impossible. But anyways, Solomon said that his kingdom shouldn't be given to anybody else. I don't know why that man made that prayer. He says God should give him a kingdom that will not be incumbent for anybody else again. I don't know why that man put a seal on that prayer. He has to release it a bit. I don't know. Suleiman should have made it lightly for us so that we can get something also out of the kingdom. Yeah, if I have half If I should have half of the kingdom Suleiman had, I'm serious. The mushriks, especially Muhammad Hijab, will have gotten the first slap. Do you know he has a UFC fight? Is it UFC or boxing? Or he has a match, boxing match. They are entertainers, you know. Yes, I don't know. If you think I'm lying, check the up to date on his Twitter page or something. That guy has a UFC match against somebody, right? So let's continue with the video.
Any that label on anyone, right? But that just goes to show why, if you reject hadith, then you in turn reject Quran. That is not even dealing with the fact of.
So this guy says, if you reject hadith, then you are in fact rejecting the Quran. It's not the first time we are hearing this statement. We've heard it several times, right? And this guy is a nobody. So we've heard it from the popular scholars and so on. But I'm just playing it back so that you get to understand what these bozos keep repeating every time, right? Yes, thank you very much, Omar Sataur. I appreciate that. Thank you. So now, yes, Imran Khan says majority of the sectarians, Baba, love playing boxing match anyway. Yes. Okay, so let's go.
Why do you reject hadith?
Why are these people so concerned about their garbage books? I don't understand. Why do I reject your garbage book? Why? Why do you reject hadith? Why? It's just like the guy from Gambia who is asking, why are you gay? Why are you gay? Why are you rejecting? This question is so like it's so important for them. I don't know. A book accusing your prophet of sleeping with 9 or 11 women in one night. A book claiming your prophet married a 6-year-old girl. A book claiming your prophet has concubines. A book claiming your prophet tried to sleep with another lady on one of his wife's bed. A book claiming that your prophet said whoever changes his religion, kill him. A book which is totally lying against your prophet, that before he became a prophet, he went to sit in the mountains in a cave, whilst leaving his beautiful wife, Khadija, at home. Tell me, is he a Batman or Spider-Man? What is he doing in the cave when you have a beautiful wife and a house and a businesswoman, according to you guys? So a book telling you all this nonsense. You're asking me, why do I reject hadith? These mushriks, they are not okay. Wallahi. Wallahi, wallahi. These bozos, you are not okay. To be honest. What kind of guy, a book telling me the prophet is flying on a donkey or a burak, going to bring you 5 prayers?
What is the main answer that these hadith rejectors are saying is the reason as to why they reject hadith?
We have given you the answers countless of times. Why are you not paying attention, for God's sake? Why do we reject? We've told you several times, especially Baba Shuaib, my videos were trending in front of all these mushriks, and they are so infuriated. The answers are there in front of you. We give you the answers. You just don't like it. That's why you think we are a virus, because now we are infecting. You need a vaccine, by the way. They need a vaccine to Yes, salam, my elder Faisal Rabi. I appreciate you. Thank you for being present. I appreciate you. God bless you. Have a good night. So let's listen. Look.
Basically, they'll say we cannot trust the words of men because there's no way to verify, and Allah never said that he was going to protect other than the Quran. That's their claim.
Okay, fair enough.
So now he says fair enough. The other guy was laying down the reasons, and then he says fair enough. Now listen what he's going to counter with.
Fair enough. There's a couple of points that you made. You made 2 different points.
Yes.
The first point was that we can't trust men.
Yes.
Right. The first thing is the same men that we say are transmitting these hadith that are authentic, right? There's a distinction.
Who made it authentic? This is a question the mushriks are struggling to answer. Who made their book authentic? Who? The book your men wrote, who classified them as sahih, authentic? The word sahih. Who made the distinction and gave it authentic? Who? Hello? Who? Who? Check this verse. Quran chapter 17 verse 88. These bozos, they keep comparing their garbage books with the Quran. Always when they make a statement, they compare their comedy books with the Quran. Now I'm going to show you something. This is the verse on the screen. Quran chapter 17 verse 88. God says, Kul la ini jitama'at al-insu wal jinnu ala an yatu bimithlihi haza al-Quran la yatuna bimithlihi. Then he says, walau kana ba'duhum libadin zahira. So God says, say, he's telling the messenger to tell the people. Then he says, indeed, if the humans and the jinns would confer in order to bring the like of this Quran, listen carefully, the humans and the jinns to come together to bring the like of this Quran, this is what God says, they could not bring the like of it. Even if they were assistants to each other. But when you find these bozos again saying, then they will say, the same men who transmitted the Quran, which is the book of God, are the same men who transmitted the garbage books. So, and so what? Okay, hypothetically, let's say, and so what? So does that mean they are equal books? Does that mean they are both coming from God? What do you mean? If the same man bring the book of God, no problem, I accept the book of God. But does that mean I have to accept a garbage from a man? Seriously. So, because it's the same book is coming through them, first of all, Quran, is it for them? No. The garbage books, is it for them or for God? You say it's for them. I don't need it. I need the one from God. Moses was from God. Where did he grow up? He grew up in the house of Pharaoh. I have no problem with that. Does that make Moses not to become Moses? No. Even though Moses passed through the hands of Pharaoh, we appreciate Moses. It doesn't mean the other garbage coming from Pharaoh, I have to accept that. Common sense. Listen again. Let me reiterate what I'm saying. Moses, God assigned him or made him pass through Pharaoh. So let's use this same analogy. The same people who transmitted the Quran are the same people who transmitted the Hadith, according to you. So Moses came through the hands of Pharaoh, and the same Pharaoh passed forward garbages again. So there's Moses here, there's garbages here. Does that mean I have to accept Pharaoh just because Moses came through Pharaoh? No, it is Moses I need. So I've gotten Moses. It's okay for me. I don't need the other garbage coming from Pharaoh. Are you getting my point? The logic of these bozos is because the same men who transmitted the Quran are the same men who transmitted the Hadith, even though it's a logical fallacy, it's a lie. I have videos, I've dismantled that argument. Go to my playlist, which talks about Sahih Hadith. I've dismantled that argument. It cannot stand the test of time. Even the Usmanis, this thing, whatever they are saying, Usman Vesh, I've dismantled that argument. It's a lie. Where they say he sent for the copies Hafsa had. If Hafsa, the one she have, is authentic, is genuine, is good, why is he sending for those copies and then rewriting what she has and sending it back and then burning other copies than the one he sent back to Hafsa? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Seriously. Okay. Anyways. So if the same people, so does that mean since the same people brought me the Quran and I accept it is from God, so I must accept the garbage books they are going to give me on this side also? What is wrong with your logic? Malakum kayfa tahkumun? How do you judge? How? Okay, anyway, Let's go back to the stupid statement he was saying.
The distinction in a second to answer the second point you made. But the same ones that are transmitting these hadith are the same ones that transmitted the Quran.
That's a lie. That is a blunted lie. Exactly. He had to even check it back. Yes, they say Usman has to check the copies from Hafsa and everything. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, are you getting the point? Now listen to the statement this Bozo said. This thing the scholars keep repeating is a blunted lie. It's a lie, to be honest. Like I have the video dismantle that argument. Please kindly go to my playlist on YouTube and check Sahih Hadith where I dismantle that argument. I have that in my playlist.
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, first Jibreel alayhi salam didn't reveal the Quran to me or you, right? We didn't hear the words directly from Jibreel or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? How do we know today that the Quran? How can we be confident that every single word in this book here is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
So this stupid statement they keep saying is that means the Quran needs a lawyer. So the Quran is not a book of guidance and it cannot speak for itself. So the Quran needs the garbage books to speak for it. Do you see the logic they are using? It means the Quran should shut up. Hey, quiet. How did you came to this world? Quiet. Somebody is going to speak for you. Your parents are here. So the parents is what? The garbage books. And they are going to speak on behalf of you, Baba Shuaib. How did you came to this world? Don't speak. Shh. We are going to find some garbage parents to speak on your behalf, okay? So the Quran and the Hadith, which one came first? The Quran, right? So the Quran is now going to tell you how the Quran came about. Or the Hadith is now going to tell you how the Quran rather came about. Does it make sense? The Quran has to speak for itself. It's the book of guidance. So now God says in Quran chapter 4 verse 82, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ إِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوهُ فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Do they not contemplate the Quran? Had it been from other than God, they would have found therein numerous discrepancies or contradictions. So investigate the book claiming to be from God. That's all you need to do. There's nothing like you need another book to speak on behalf of the Quran. What kind of nonsense is that? What kind of nonsense is that? So you don't need to trust the Quran. You need a garbage book to tell you about the Quran before you can believe the Quran is Quran. Hey! Look at the foolish mushrik here. Look, he says Hadith came first. He says Hadith came before the Quran. He says Hadith came first to Baba. You need to brain checked. Seriously, something is wrong with your brain.
You didn't hear directly from Jibreel alayhi salam. You didn't hear directly from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How do you know? It's called the chain of transmission.
Oh my God. How do you know it's called the isnad, the chain of transmission they are talking about, the isnad, the chain, yeah? They bring up, oh my God. Let's go to the last video because I'm already tired of this bozo, right? Let's go. The last video, it's on them. Let's go the last video. This is the last video, by the way. Number 3.
We'll stick with Bukhari. Here's the collection of Sahih Bukhari, meaning that here is the collection or the compilation of what he graded as authentic. There are hadith where he graded them weak based off of the chain of narration, right? Or the matan, the body of it, what was said or did, right? Those are not included in the Sahih Bukhari. So this is my claim. Give me one hadith that contradicts Quran in Sahih Bukhari. That's a challenge.
So that's a challenge.
And the point is, why I'm making that point is because one of the principles to grade something a sahih is that it cannot contradict Quran. The moment somebody says Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and then they say, even with a chain of narration or whatever it is, and they give something that contradicts Quran, rejected. Rejected. Not only that, but anyone that's in that person transmitting that is rejected. So now we're not only gonna take not this one, we're not gonna take nothing from
him. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is nothing that criticizes, scrutinizes, what was the word I'm looking for? Analyzes. Nothing that does these things more than the science of hadith. The science of hadith is the most rigorous form of verification of anything in history. There is nothing that happened yesterday or the day before that or in perpetuative history that is verifiable like the hadith. Nothing. You can't even tell me what your dad said with more verification than the hadith verifies. And I promise you that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
God have mercy upon us.
You had the bold statement he made. But ladies and should I even answer him on this? Do I need to answer what he said? Oh my God. Hey, please, whose relative is this? Because I can see he's wearing a wedding ring. I think he's married. I think he has a wife. I saw the ring. Normally, I don't know if it's a mirrored version on the camera, but he has a hey, to be honest. How these people even get wives, I'm surprised. To be honest. How they get married and they have wives. It surprises me, to be honest. Hey. Oh my God. Okay, no problem. Let's take his case. I'll use their video to end the program before I go to TikTok. I might not stay long on TikTok because I have to finish up something. But let's listen to this bozo confidently making a claim. Listen.
Bukhari. Okay, we'll stick with Bukhari. Here's the collection of Sahih Bukhari, meaning that here is the collection or the compilation of what he graded as authentic.
Okay, so that is their most prominent book, according to them, after the Quran. That is the most authentic and prominent book. That is Sahih al-Bukhari. And the funny part is how they like to decorate their backside with the books, these garbage books. They like to arrange it at the back. That is what baffles me. It's better to buy comic books. You know, this Marvel universe, the comic books they have, it's better to buy those books. I'm not joking. Wallahi, that fantasy is more exciting to read. If you try to read and see the Iron Man, the Spider-Man, read those books. Is better. You can sleep in peace. I'm not joking. If you go and take these comedy books, you have brain fat. You know, brain fat. That's what the book is going to cause, and that's why these mushriks are having these brain damage issues. So now listen.
There are hadith where he graded them weak based off of the chain of narration, right? Or the matan, the body of it, what was said or did, right? Those are not included in the Sahih Bukhari. So this is my claim. Give me one hadith.
Now listen to the challenge he's going to throw. Listen.
That contradicts Quran in Sahih Bukhari.
He says, give me one hadith that contradicts Quran in Sahih al-Bukhari. Give me one hadith that contradicts Quran, which is coming from Sahih al-Bukhari. Did you hear the challenge? Anyways, he is not a scholar, right? But I will take up the challenge.
It's a challenge.
He says it's a challenge. Hey. Okay, let's go to sunnah.com. Thank you, sunnah.com, for making your website accessible. So let's go to sunnah.com. It is not a big challenge. So sunnah.com, and let's go for with this hadith. It's Sahih al-Bukhari 303, right? 303. Sahih al-Bukhari. Sorry, let me share the screen. Then you see the hadith. I share the screen. Just a second. Just a second. How do you call it, brother Navid? I'll come to you. I just need to finish this last video up. Here. This is the hadith. So I put it clearly, then you can see. So this is the page you go. I need to maximize it. Yeah. So this is their hadith. It is Sahih al-Bukhari 303 because I don't need to even give him the big hadith, which is stronger. I don't need to mention that. So let's use the lame hadith in their Sahih al-Bukhari 303. It says, whenever God's messenger wanted to fondle any of his wives during their periods or the menses, he used to ask her to wear an izar. Whenever the prophet wants to fondle any of his wives, meaning he wants to have the intercourse with them during their menses, he will ask her to wear an izar. This is what the hadith says, and that is it on the screen. Sahih al-Bukhari 303. Do you see? It says here. Let me show you here. Oh, yes, it says here. You see the Arabic version here where it says Iza arada an yubashira amra'atan min nisa'ihi amaraha fatazarat wahya haidun. Then he says what? Warawahu Sufyanu anin Shaybani. Now, in this hadith, it is saying that when God's messenger wants to fondle any of his wife, meaning he wants to sleep with his women, his wives, he will ask during their periods, he will ask this woman to wear what? An izar. Right? They will wear something before he can sleep with them during their menses. So now here, let's go to the Quran. I want to show you something. We go to Quran chapter 2, verse 202. So now this is what God says concerning menstruation. Let me see if I can maximize the page. I can put it this way. Now check what God says. And whoever, it skipped to a different verse. So let me put it here. Chapter 2, verse 222. And it says, and they ask you about menstruation, say it is harmful. So dissociate from the women during menstruation. Then he says, and do not approach them until they cleanse. And when they have cleansed, then approach them from where God has instructed you. Then he says, indeed, God loves those who repent and loves those who purify themselves. Now, the challenge that Bozo was throwing is, show me one hadith which contradicts the Quran from Sahih al-Bukhari. Now, the hadith is saying that the prophet, does his things with his wives when they are on their menses. And he asked them to wear an izar. It's a kind of clothes I think they have to wear. Now, this is the problem. This is the problem. Quran alone is true to say what? They say, Shuaib, they say this is only for sexual intercourse, not fondling. Now, this is what God says. He mentioned the word to dissociate from them during the menstruation. It says it is harmful. So dissociate from them during the what? Menstruation. Now, if a woman is on a menses, listen carefully. A woman is on a menses, and you are not supposed to copulate with her, have sex with her. The word used there is bashira. Yubashira, meaning to copulate. Look, let me show you the hadith. If they want to lie to you, take them to the hadith itself and show them their lies. I'm going to show you something so that you expose their lies. Here. You see on the screen this word. Here. This word I just highlighted, where it says yubashira imra'atan. This bashira is to copulate. You want to copulate. You understand? This copulation he wants to do with his women or with his wife. This thing is act of sleeping with her during her menses. So now, hypothetically, let's say if they say you have to fondle with her, the instructions God is giving in Quran. Let me go back to this verse. Share this tab. The instruction God is giving in this chapter and this verse, still, their statement is contradicting this verse. Because this verse is they ask you about the menstruation. During menstruation, when a woman is in the menses, why will you even go fondling her? Because you fondle a woman to the extent that you have to arouse her in order to have sex with her. That is the fondling. What is it about? Now, why the woman has to wear izar for what? So now, God says, say it is harmful. So dissociate from the women during menstruation. Because it's a no-go area to have sex. So what is the fondling about? So now, this is what you see, what the mushriks try to do is always try to make up excuses. Right? The word used there, bashira, yubashira, is talking about to copulate. And when we say to copulate, when we say to copulate, the word copulate means to engage in sexual intercourse. That is the Arabic word used there. So now their hadith, Sahih hadith, has contradicted the Quran. Are you getting the point? When somebody wants to use the hadith translation to say, oh no, it's not, just tell them, let's go to the Arabic word. Let's go and check. What does the word mean? Are you getting the point? So it is a contradiction there. Because why specifically the hadith has to mention concerning their periods or their menses at that time? But anyways, the same hadith is telling us, their hadith book is telling them that whoever changes his religion, they should kill him. Man baddala dinahu, then he says faqtuluhu. Right? Where is let me put the hadith. That is Sahih al-Bukhari 3017. It says, whoever discards or changes his religion, kill him. Now that also goes contrary against the Quran. That is a contradiction. And that is a discrepancy against the hadith book. Again. So now this person, the claim he was making, let's listen.
The point is, why I'm making that point is because one of the principles to grade something a sahih is that it cannot contradict Quran. The moment somebody says Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and then they say, even with a chain of narration or whatever it is, and they give something that contradicts Quran, rejected. Rejected. Not only that, but anyone that's in that person transmitting that is rejected.
So since Imam Bukhari is the one narrating all the hadiths, if we find one thing that contradicts the Quran, we reject everything. Simple. Is that difficult? Is it difficult to do? No, it's not. Just like Adnan Rashid said, if you have milk and then it is contaminated with pee, urine, you have to throw everything away. That is the same thing. So now we, the one who follow the Quran, we throw everything away. We don't need your garbage books.
Now we're not only gonna take not this one, we're not gonna take nothing from you.
him. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is nothing that criticizes, scrutinizes, what was the word I'm looking for? Analyzes. Nothing that does these things more than the science of hadith. The science of hadith is the most rigorous form of verification of anything in history. There is nothing that happened yesterday or the day before that or in perpetuative history that is verifiable like the hadith. Nothing. You can't even tell me what your dad said with more verification than the hadith verifies. And I promise you that.
That is his claim. He's given so much credence to the hadith to the extent of verification. He thinks the hadith has been verified to the extent he promised you there's nothing has been verified more than that. Hey, mushrikanga. Hey, mushrikanga. You see the blind confidence he has in the garbage books. This is what the hadith causes them. The guy is swearing. Listen.
Like the hadith. Nothing. You can't even tell me what your dad said with more verification than the hadith verifies. And I promise.
Hey. So a person cannot even tell you what his dad says with verifications more than the hadith book. What? When I say something to my kids, sometimes they verify with their mom. Simple. Simple. I don't need any chain of narration. When I say something to my kids, kaput means brain is dead. When I say kaput, the brain is kaput, is dead. When I say something to my kids, all they need to do to verify is to ask their mom. That's the verification process. They don't need to go in any chain of narration. That is the verification. These guys are bozos, dead in the head, kaput. Seriously, factory research will never work for this kind of people, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is the bozos I decided to present today on my page. But anyways, let me put in the phone lines. You can call before I get exhausted. I think because I'm planning not to stay longer after that. But I'm putting the phone number. You can call in. Yes. Let me see. Yeah, Mohammed. Let me put the. Navid. I have a link. I put a link down there on the page. Check the link. There's a link I put for you. If you want to come as a guest, you can accept the request and come as a guest. Navid, right? So Navid, I put a link for you. If you want to come as a guest, accept the request and join. Or if not that, let me see. You can call my phone number. Correctional officer number is on the page. I just take a glass of water and come back. Yes. Where is he? Navid, are you here? I put the link in the. You are here. Yes, are you there,
Yeah,
brother?
brother, can you hear me? I'm here.
Yeah, peace to you. You're welcome.
Peace to you, brother. Great to be here. God bless you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. How may I help you? You were in the comment section. I heard you wanted to make an
Yeah,
input. Yeah?
yeah, brother. I come to you on behalf of the submitter community. We are
Mm-hmm.
people who worship God alone and uphold the Quran alone as the only source of our law. We reject all the hadith. Right?
That's
We
good.
we only worship God.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you here. All right.
Yes.
Sorry. All right. So, but the thing is, we want to help with this situation, with this Quran alone conundrum. You see, there's something called the infinite permutations complex. What are your thoughts on this?
In which sense?
So we've departed from the hadith, right? We got out of the hadith. Get rid of Tirmidhi, get rid of Bukhari, get rid of Muslim, all these guys out of the picture. We're done with these guys. They're finished. The Shia scholars, the Sunni scholars, the Imams, the idolization of these guys, we're completely gone from this. We're not going to call on Hussein. I'm not going to beat myself for Hussein or Ali or Imam Reza, call on the Prophet Muhammad, none of this stuff. I'm not going to do any of this stuff, right? So now we're in the realm of Quran alone.
Mm-hmm.
We want to understand the Quran alone. But the problem is we have what's called the infinite permutations complex, meaning that within the context of Quran alone, different people are going to understand the verses and words differently than each other.
Okay.
This creates additional layers of division. So you
Yes.
have heard, I'm from my understanding, you've now debated or discussed with people that are telling you Salah is not a ritual. There is no Salah.
I actually didn't debate with anybody on that.
Okay. But this
The
is a
only
big
thing,
debate. Yeah.
I never actually even debated anybody on that topic, actually. And I'm not looking for a debate on that. I'm looking for a dialogue, not a debate.
Sure.
Um,
Dialogue. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for dialogue with you.
So dialogue is the best way to get clarity. If of course, if the person will be respectful and I'll be respectful as well, that so that people will have clarity. Differences will happen regardless. Differences is always bound to happen, whether you like it or not. But the point is, the truth matters most. So the truth needs to be established, and truth is something you can say and can be verified. When a person wants truth to be established, they have to say things that can be verified. The moment you are having a discussion with somebody and they are not willing to give you their source of information, it becomes problematic. You see? So which means the person, whatever the person is saying, cannot be traced. So that becomes opinionated argument. And an opinionated argument cannot be taken as evidence or proof. You see? So usually,
We're on the same
exactly.
page so far.
Exactly. So the divisions you are seeing in the Quran alone followers, forums or groups is about people who just you want to use their whims and desires to state things. When you say you don't agree, they take an offense, right? Then they are like, oh, do you think you always want to be right? It's not about being right. It's about speaking what you can prove. If I can prove what I'm saying, that's it. Just prove me wrong. But they will not prove you wrong. They will use their whims and desires. So that's when people do that, they are not willing to follow the truth. So that is what causes division among the Quran alone followers. However, we have things we can agree on as a common goal. You understand? Things we can agree on, common goal, calling to God, deciding on things that will not cause divisions. I do have brothers that follow my videos, my lectures, even though they will tell me that, okay, they believe in Rashad Khalifa in certain aspects or certain things. I don't have a problem with that. Now you are here, of course, you support that same agenda. I know you you support the movement Rashad Khalifa actually brought forth, right? You are in line with his message. But sometimes we need clarity on certain things. I remember one time I was on Clubhouse and I asked this guy, I forgot his name,
Was it Hassan?
Edip, no,
Yüksel? Yeah, sure.
Edip Yüksel, in a not a dialogue, in a discussion. I asked him a particular question. He took an offense to the question, even though I was not rude, I was not disrespectful. But later on, of course, we settled the differences. The respect came. He even give me props, sent me a message on Twitter. We even exchanged numbers after that. It's all about understanding. When you are willing to have discussions and willing to answer questions, you understand, and get answers and be answered, that makes the unifications very easy. But the moment people don't want to be questioned, the way people don't want to answer questions, it becomes problematic. That is a problem. So
I agree with you, and I just want to make clear that Edip Yüksel, we have had communications with him. I've met with him. I've talked with him many times, but he's not part of our group. He's not part of our movement. I just want to make that clear.
Okay, that's good. So, but I'm just talking about where it emanated from. You understand?
Sure, I understand what you're saying.
Because
yeah, sure.
along the way, you can start a journey with some people, but along the way, the differences can occur. Now, when differences occur, it is the notion between opinion and fact. That is what causes division. It is either this group wants to stick with opinion, and that group wants to stick with facts. That is what causes division.
I agree, and I agree with you, and that's why we have to have an objective way to resolve this issue.
Of course, there is always an objective way, but the point is the other party willing to compromise?
Okay, so
that's the only problem.
So can I present my solution to you?
I'm listening.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you for this civil dialogue. You've been very respectful. I've been on multiple lives recently. I don't want to name whose lives I've been on, but they've not been as kind as you are. So God bless you for that. I appreciate this civil discussion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I'm not aware of how much you know about the overall concept that we are promoting, but I can say that it shouldn't be a secret to know that we recognize that God talks about a messenger to come after Prophet Muhammad to fulfill some functions for us. And we do accept and believe Dr. Rashad Khalifa was the messenger of the covenant in 381, and he fulfilled these functions and roles for the betterment and as a mercy from God. Okay, so God says in 381, I will give the prophets the scripture and wisdom. Afterwards, a messenger will come to confirm what they have. So this messenger came, he confirmed the Quran, which confirmed all the previous scripture. Code 19 is the ultimate miracle. It verified everything. And on top of that, he took the impure religion of Sunni Islam and purified it to the pure religion of strict monotheism, as established and preached by Abraham, and then later preached by Prophet Muhammad with the Quran. And he presented to us a clear and concise way of upholding the right guidance and the true path of God in the Quran. That's it. This is how we solve the problems. God says when the believers have a dispute, they refer to the messenger. This gives them the best resolution. So now we resolve this. I see a verse one way, you see a verse another way. We refer to the messenger. We have our resolution resolved, finished. This is the blessing and mercy from God. This fixes our issues. The version of the Quran is identified, the clear path of the religion identified, how we practice our religion identified, the correct way to interpret different aspects of the Quran is clarified. So we have resolution. We don't need to go to Hadith. We don't need to go to the Sunni scholars. We don't need to go to Shia scholars. We have a pure way to uphold our religion, uphold the Quran alone, and worship God alone. This is what I'm offering as a proposal here, as a means of resolution for the sake of unity and solving this issue of the infinite permutations complex, where each person has a different comprehensive doctrine in regard to the religion.
Yeah. So you see, when it comes to the notion of coming together, there's always some differences, and so there's something about convincing people in terms of the questions people ask. Some things can be based on belief. Believing is a choice, but when it comes to the truth, it's about conviction. It is what you say to convince people. Then somebody has to disprove you. In a logical argument, in a dialogue, you say things that somebody has to bring up another evidence or truth that can actually prove your claim to be false. Right? Now, I remember one of the things I asked during that time, I think it was about 2-3 years ago, when I asked Edip Yüksel a question at that time. So concerning where he says overrate is 19. So then I asked him, does that mean based on the 19, 2 verses in the Quran are false, that they have been taken out? He refused to answer that. And I said, I'm not questioning him based on Rashad Khalifa. I'm questioning him based on what he said in the discussion, because he said that statement. So he said I should go and read his book. And I said, I've read the book. I just want to be convinced by a particular notion of understanding from him. So then I said, the overeat, alayha, used there, is used in a feminine pronoun, alayha. God never said alayhi. He says alayha tis ata ashara. So if in that context we are talking about the Quran, why did God use a feminine pronoun and not a masculine pronoun? Because he normally used masculine pronoun to reference to the Quran. If it's a Quran, he will say alayhi. Or if it is the book, he will say alayhi. But here he says alayha tis ata ashara. And on that day, Edip Yüksel was talking and he used that as a reference to say this is where it shows that the 19 miracle existed. When somebody tells me Rashad Khalifa is a messenger, well, that is not a problem for me. It is about belief, because the person would only say, I believe he's a messenger, but the person cannot show me the evidence why he's a messenger, because God never stated that statement, that he's a messenger, right? Directly, explicitly, I'm saying. But then it is based on a claim that has to be substantiated, because if it's a person is a messenger, there are certain things he has to give as evidence to prove the claim, which I know you agree with me on that.
Yeah, can I address some of these points, brother?
Okay.
So number one, ayat is feminine, and it could be in reference to the ayat of the Quran, which is the verses.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And second, God willing, I'm going to do my best to try to address any question or issue you have.
Yeah.
In terms of the religion and belief system, I want to be an open book, transparent, and really try to acknowledge and substantiate everything I'm telling you.
Sure.
What we see in this verse, this is alayha tisatash, over to 19. The following verse says, aidatuhum, their number does multiple things, 5 things. One of the functions is وَيَزْدَادَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِيمَانًا. It increases the faith of the faithful. So the question is, how does their number increase the faith of the faithful? We recognize this as increasing our faith because we've witnessed the miracle of the Quran. Now we have 28 versions of the Quran, and with the code 19, we can verify and authenticate the true version of the Quran. What is the Quran the Prophet Muhammad received? Is it the Hafs and Asim? Is it Warsh? Is it Duri? Is it Qalun? How many verses is the Quran? Different versions have different configuration of the verses. Different words are used. 2184 in one version it says maskin, one version it says masakin. This has to do with the different law regarding the missing of the day of fasting during Ramadan. In one instance, you are told to feed one person. In another instance, you have to feed 3 or more people. So now we're solving the issue of the qira'at. We're solving the issue of the discrepancies. And at the beginning of this chapter, verses 1 through 5, it says, I seek of you, God, for say the rejected. Oh, you hidden secret, come out and warn. Extol your Lord. Purify your garment. Forsake what is wrong. The hidden secret is the miracle. The garment of the secret is the Quran. And the Quran must have needed to be purified. This goes in reference to the false verses that were injected at the end of chapter 9. That God gave us many, many signs. God says he protects the Quran in the Lohul Mahfuz, the master tablet, 85, 21, and 22. Indeed, it is a glorious Quran in a preserved master tablet. So now we access this master tablet with the ultimate miracle, code 19, the preservation system of God. We can identify the Quran the Prophet Muhammad received over 1,400 years ago. And we have that book. And we have the proven word of God. And we have the correct way to access this book from God. And I'm more than happy to be patiently go through the evidence with you, go through the huruf al-muqatta'at, go through the Quranic initials, the different compositions of the Quran, and substantiate in detail with you and demonstrate to you the Quran is indeed proven and substantiated and authenticated and verified with the ultimate miracle code 19. It has a precise mathematical system, as an advanced antivirus system. It's ECC, error correction code. It detects viruses, it eliminates them. I'm willing to go through all of it with you, patiently, openly. I'm willing to give access to all the resources that I have and all the resources that my community has, to leave everything at your fingertips, to God willing reach your level of satisfaction, and all the viewers as well. We're open and transparent about this.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. You see, there are perspectives to every issue. Perspective to every issue, meaning there are ways to analyze certain issues when they are presented. For instance, I know you still use the translation from Rashad Khalifa, or do you have a different one now?
That's the translation I use. I use the translation by Rashad Khalifa.
Okay. Now, I can just put it on the screen. I have it here. So I'll put it on the screen so people will know what I'm trying to say. I go to the verse you just read, chapter 74. Then I start from verse 30, just to show people something. So I share the tab. I don't know if can it be seen? Oh, let me maximize it. I can maximize it so that it can be seen clearly enough. I think it's good now, right?
Yeah, it's good. We can see it.
So 24:30. I'm going to read. It says over 8 is 19, right? He has a footnote. The footnote explains down there. But then it says, we appointed angels to be guardians of hell, and we assigned, then he says, their number, then he put into bracket 19. So he says, their number. In Arabic, it will say, iddatahum. So it says, their number. And the number was the one mentioned above. So Rashad Khalifa himself put asterisk there to highlight that this is the 19. But then he created a footnote to give further explanation on his findings. But then the more important aspect, when we are looking at the text with the context by the text, we see that it says iddatahum, because when you take the word malaika in the plural form, it says malaikatu, malaikata, malaikati. It ends in a plural form in such a way that it sounds feminine. But then it says, we appointed angels to be guardians of hell. Then it says, we assigned, then it says, their number. Their number. If it's talking about the verses, then it says, iddataha. If it's referencing to verses, right? I'm just giving you another perspective from what you just said. So it will say, iddataha. But here it says, iddatahum. Then Rashad Khalifa himself, he put 19. Then number one, the reason is to disturb the disbelievers. So now here we can establish from his own translation that iddatahum representing the angels. I'm not saying it. He did it there. You see?
So let's go through this. So how does that, so if we so there's two issues here.
Uh-huh.
Number one, like we can independently, even without this, we can independently investigate whether there's a structure in the Quran based on number 19 and objectively reach that conclusion. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, we can look at the number 3 here where he has strengthen the faith of the faithful. How does the existence of angels or the number of angels strengthen the faith of the faithful? That's what we can discuss.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, we can discuss that.
We have the Quranic initials. Okay. Why is it that these initials occur in their chapters in multiples of 19? Why does this happen?
Oh, fine. Number one, let's state the facts Rashad Khalifa himself stated concerning the number 19, what it will cause. Number one, he says to disturb the disbelievers, because we know disbelievers are the ones scared of hell. Believers are not scared of hell. A believer who is just like a worker who has done good deeds, who has done his duty as his boss has commanded, will not be scared of getting punished by the boss. So then that number is set for the disbelievers, because they will be thinking, if hell has 7 gates, according to the Quran, chapter 15, verse 44, hell has 7 gates. We have not seen them before, but God is saying about this. Then these 7 gates, he's telling you 19 angels are going to be the custodians or guardians of the hell. Right? So now he says to disturb the disbelievers. Number 2, then Rashad Khalifa put the verse to convince the Christians and the Jews. But when we read the Arabic, we don't see the word Christians or Jews there. Then he says that this is a divine scripture.
It says people of the previous scripture. That automatically
but I understand. But he never said, God never said Christians and Jews. Because
we believe it's synonymous, brother. We believe it's synonymous. It means
I understand your point. I'm just giving a perspective. I'm saying that in Arabic, we don't see it like that. Then it goes, number 3. Then he says to strengthen the faith of the faithful or the believers. Because believers, we believe that whatever God says concerning hell and paradise is true. We don't doubt. So it increases in faith. We know hell has 7 gates, and we know it has 19 angels to guard that gate. We don't doubt that. So now, then he says to remove all traces of doubt from the hearts of Christians, Jews, as well as the believers, which God still didn't mention in Arabic version. Some of the things he added. Then he says, number 5, to expose those who harbor doubts in their hearts. And the disbelievers, they will say, what did God mean by this allegory? Of course, a disbeliever can say, how come hell can have 7 gates? How big is hell? And he can say, how come 19 angels to guide us? He will laugh about it, because he will just like, what does God mean by this? That's a disbeliever's perspective, not a believer's perspective. God never said a believer will have doubt or any issue. He says a disbeliever will say, what does God mean by this allegory? Then he says, God does send astray whomever he wills and guides whomever he wills. None knows the soldiers of your Lord except him, or we can say except he. Then he says, this is a reminder for the people. Okay, so this is based on what Rashad Khalifa himself said, right? Okay. Now, when we take these verses, me reading the verses from a neutral point, I don't see any hint where it says 19 is representing the verses.
But what is the function of 19 for you?
The function has been explained in verse 31.
Yeah, how does it fulfill these functions? How does a Christian get convinced? People of the previous scripture, how are they convinced that the Quran is the word of God?
Good. Now, when we say people of the previous scripture here, Quran chapter 17 verse 2 tells us, God says, وآتينا موسى الكتاب وجعلنا هدى لبني إسرائيل ألا تتخذوا من دوني وكيلا. God revealed the book to Musa to serve as a guidance for the children of Israel, that they should not take any representative. So here, if you are talking to me and you say people of the previous scripture, in my head, I know it is Bani Israel. They are the ones who are the people of the previous scripture. Now, when we bring the notion of Christians and the Jews, these people have formulated their own doctrines, their own books, and so on and so forth. So I don't see them mentioned in this verse in the first place. So I don't need to go to any Christian or Jew for anything. We are talking about, if you ask me the people of the book, I understand it to be the children of Israel. The Christians and the Jews, they are only claiming by their word, by my mouth, that they have the book of God. That's what they are saying. But they are not
Okay, so I get it. You're trying to interpret in a way that doesn't give validity to 19, but here's the thing. We already recognize 19 has significance in the Quran. I told you all the Quranic initials, we're finding them occur in multiples of 19. So what are we to make of that?
Okay, so by that, if I may ask, do you stand that Rashad Khalifa took 2 verses out of the Quran? Do you agree with him when he did that?
Absolutely. Those verses were never part of the Quran.
Okay, so that means those verses existed in the Quran for centuries.
In the Mus'hafs, yes.
Okay, it existed in centuries till Rashad Khalifa came and then discovered that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. So how will you explain this verse? Chapter 41, verse 42. This is what God says. Let's start from 41. It's on the screen. God says, indeed, there are those who disbelieve in the remembrance after it has come to them, but indeed, it is a precious book. What is the precious book? Then he says, no falsehood can approach from its front or from its behind. A revelation from the wise and praiseworthy.
Correct. So God says in 85, 21, and 22 that the Quran is a protected book. It's protected in the master tablet, the Lahul Mahfuz. So how do we access the tablet of the Quran from God? So my question for you is, how many verses is the Quran? How many verses do you believe the Quran is?
Before I answer the question, you left my question unanswered.
I think I answered you. I said the Quran is preserved in the master tablet. God preserved the Quran by giving us a way to ascertain the original Quran the Prophet Muhammad received. I believe he received one version of the Quran, not what Hadith says he received the 7 ahruf or the 20 qira'at or any of this stuff.
That I agree.
Prophet Muhammad received one version of the Quran.
I agree.
And I'm saying the only way to ascertain the one version that he received is with the ultimate miracle and preservation system of Code 19. That's it. There's no other way to get to that result.
Okay. So if that is the case, then I ask you a question based on this verse.
Yeah.
When God says no falsehood would be approach it, that is the yatihi, we can see he's talking about the book. Because it says La yatihi al-batil min bayni yadayhi wala min khalfihi. It is using a masculine pronoun to address the book. So now if it is talking about the book, that no falsehood would approach from front and back. Now my point is, for centuries, which means people have been reading false verses in the Quran for centuries up to the time Rashad Khalifa came. So now he came to remove these 2 false verses.
I mean, do we acknowledge that you haven't told me which version of the Quran do you believe in, but let's say you
there's only one. No, there's only one version. There's nothing like one. How many versions? You and I agree there's only one.
No, in truth, there's only one, but in existence, there's many. So how do you differentiate between Hafs and Warsh version of the Quran?
They are just names.
No. They have different meanings, brother.
No, but it's just names they gave to the Quran.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
they gave it. God didn't give it.
Substantive differences.
Okay.
Substantive differences. So chapter 57, verse 24. In this verse, you can bring it. I can wait for you to bring it, actually. Go ahead.
No, make the claim first.
57:24. In Hafs and Asim, you have the word Hawa, third word from the end. Okay. In the Warsh version, there is no Hawa. It's not there.
Uh-huh.
So, did the Prophet Muhammad receive the word Hawa in this verse, or did he not receive the word Hawa in this verse?
Now, in this point, we cannot tell, but the verse, does he have contradiction?
What do you mean we cannot tell? So you
No,
don't know, we don't
the
know
point
what
is,
verse,
you cannot
what
tell
Quran
in
he
this.
received?
No, you are comparing two different books right now. And then you are saying, which one did he receive? You and I were not based at the time of the Prophet. We were not there.
So
But
how do you know what Prophet Muhammad received?
If the verse doesn't have a contradiction.
Okay, so let's go to a verse with a clear contradiction. No problem.
Okay, let's go. Give me a verse.
2184.
I put it on the screen.
Yeah, put it on the screen. 2184.
2184. You said it has a clear contradiction.
Yes, based on the version that you take.
Okay. So let's see. This is
right there
on the screen. I put it in Arabic. Is there?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, right there. Maskeen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maskeen means one poor person.
Yes.
Maskeen.
Mm.
There. In the Warsh version, it says Masakeen, which means three or more people.
Okay.
So in one version, you have the rule one way. In another version, you have the law a different way. So which one is it?
Now,
do I feed one poor person or do I feed three or more poor people?
No problem. Now you are saying there's contradiction, right?
It's a clear contradiction in law.
Thank you. If you say it's contradiction, that means you agree there are different versions of the Quran. You don't no more agree there's one version of the Quran, right?
No, I believe there's only one true version of the Quran that we have.
Okay.
But I acknowledge the existence of other versions in the world. They exist. Maybe scribal errors, maybe people change, whatever. These exist. But there's only one true version of the Quran that is for us to follow and the Prophet Muhammad received.
Good. I have been able to differentiate between all the versions by using the Hafs version compared to all the versions. But let me tell you the reason why. Now, when you take the verse, it says, Ayyamin ma'adudat. Then it says, Faman kana minkum maridan aw ala safarin. Then it says, Fa'iddatu min ayyamin ukhar. Then it says, Wa ala allazina yutikunahu fidiyatu ta'amin miskin. This is the people who give it the name Hafs version. Now, in this verse, according to the question you are asking me, when we go to the Warsh version, we see Masakin. But when we read the context of the verse, this miskin used that when you are struggling to do the fasting, this ransom or this redeem you have to do for yourself, you feed a poor person for 1 day of not being able to do the fasting. The context is still valid. There's no contradiction in that statement. However, if we have to compare it with the Warsh version, some people will say Masakin, that you have to feed multiple. In the context, if I have to feed multiple ones, it doesn't befit the context of the verse to say you have to feed multiple people because it is not specific. If you have to feed multiple people, how many? If you have to feed Masakin, the question will be how many?
So you're making a linguistic argument?
No, based on what the Quran says.
Yeah, that's a linguistic argument. You're making a linguistic argument to justify one word over the other used in this
first
verse.
of all, let me clarify the point. God says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Then he says, وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ إِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجِدُوهُ فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. So it is based on the language of the Quran. You have to examine what the Quran says. God didn't say we should check it mathematically. Nowhere did he say you should check the Quran, examine the Quran mathematically to see if it is my word. Linguistically, you check the Quran, miskin makes more sense than masakin. Masakin is not specific because then how many poor people do I have to feed? How many? 10? 100? 200? It is a fallacy.
So you're saying I use a logical deduction and grammatical linguistic analysis to substantiate the correct word used and this discrepancy. That's your.
I've been able to prove that. Put me to the test. That's why I'm using the version people will call Hafs.
Let's keep going.
But still, you haven't answered my question. It's hanging.
What's your question?
My question, I just took you. I said, does that mean Rashad Khalifa discovering in the 20th century that he has seen what we call two verses as false? Does that mean all the centuries before him, falsehood has actually entered into the Quran? You haven't answered that.
Yeah, brother, I explained to you that the Quran is preserved in the master tablet. I said this several times.
No, I asked a question.
You're focused on the ink and paper. And I'm saying the ink and paper that exists in Morocco or Egypt or Pakistan, that's not the Quran that's preserved by God. So you're saying that I'm using a subjective analysis to determine that Hafs and Asim is the correct one. And I don't but the problem is we have inconsistencies even over time within Hafs and Asim. So for example, 769, right? Is it Bastatan with a Sod or Bastatan with a Sin?
Look, if we have to do that kind of discussion, we'll never finish today. We will keep going on and on and on in that type of discussion.
There's a bigger point.
I have already done this analysis by myself, and I've done it with a lot of students who came to me to study this topic. We've done it several times. I even have files written on this.
Okay, so I'm just curious. So are you just outright denying
what?
The existence of the mathematical composition of the Quran?
No, I'm not denying it. I'm asking you the question to convince me. I said, are you saying falsehood? Because you can never tell me we cannot deal with ink and paper. Then what is the essence of using Quran now?
Yes. We can take Hafs and Asim as a template, but even that needs further purification. Okay?
Yeah, but purification is to examine the statement also.
Well, linguistically. I just give you an example. Chapter 7, verse 69, the word is Bastatan. In the modern transcripts, Hafs and Asim, it's written with a Sod. But if you go far back enough, you see it written with a Sin. This is the Alif Lam Mim Sod chapter. The number of Sod in the Sod chapters needs to be a multiple of 19. That fits with 152. Therefore, this word is shown to be a Sin. It's ECC, Error Correction Code. The Quran is preserving itself.
Right now, I've not been convinced with the even number 19 where it is correlated.
Let's do that. Then let's do it.
Wait.
Let's go to that.
I said, I've not been convinced with the number 19 where it is correlating with the things you are claiming that it is used to protect the Quran. Number one.
No problem.
Now, number two. When I ask a simple question, because the Rashad Khalifa followers, no matter what, you are following an ink and paper book, whether you like it or not. Because if you don't follow it, where did you get the copy you have? You have it. So the copy you have, I'm saying, does that mean the two verses Rashad Khalifa used the evidences from the Hadith, Makkah and Medina verses and saying whatever, to now remove those two verses from Surah At-Tawbah? Chapter 9.
Yeah, those verses already had a huge paper trail. They were already refuted by their own history. Either we accept the hadith is false, and they tried to make these hadith to substantiate the existence of these two verses, which is wrong anyway. It proves they're false. Or we assume the hadith is true, which also proves that these verses are fake. Nobody heard of them. Nobody knew what to do with them, and they slapped them on at the end of chapter 9. So whether the hadiths about these verses are true or false, both directions prove these verses are fake. But we don't even need to rely on any hadith.
No, I can put you to the test now to prove to me how the verses are fake. Can we go that right now? Then you prove to me how.
Sure.
Let me put it on the screen. Chapter 9, verse 128. Yeah. So I want you to prove to me how these verses are fake. This is the verse.
Yeah.
Okay, prove to me.
Yeah, so they have approximately 26 words across these two verses. Okay.
Now, linguistically, I'm not talking about numbers or anything. Just linguistically assess the verse and tell me how it is a contradiction.
Yeah, so the last two words here, they have the expression Raufun Rahim.
Does it have a definite article on it?
No.
Okay. So does that mean when it's mentioned Rauf Rahim, that means it is a contradiction?
Well, let me explain.
Okay, thank you. Explain.
So 8 times in the Quran, including 10 verses before this. So if you go to 9:117, you see Rauf Rahim written the same way for God. 8 times in the Quran, you see this double adjective attribute name used for God only. And it does not have the definite article on any of them. You can look at 9:117, 2:143. I have the whole list here.
So you said those attributes are used for God only, right?
Only in the whole Quran.
Okay.
And this would be considered the only exception. This is just a red flag at this point.
Okay, no problem. That's number one. So let's assess the number one. Because of the Rahuf Rahim, you said it's for God only, right?
And I have the verses ready for you. I can recite
Okay,
them.
so let's use this example. If that is for God only, let's examine this word. Chapter 11, verse 87. Now, look how the people of Shuaib describe him to be. They said, indeed, innaka la antal halimur Rashid. And they have a definite article. So, Brother Naveed, please tell everybody to hear right now. Then the name Al-Halim, is it for God or not?
1187. So they're talking to Shuaib, and they tell Shuaib at the end of this verse here, surely you are known for being clement, wise.
Yes. So I just want you to tell me if that Halim is not used for God also.
Maybe. I mean, you can show me if it is. Go ahead.
I can show you, yes. But I just want you to first confirm the statement. That does that mean because of that statement used for Prophet Muhammad or the messenger Raufu Rahim, that is the only reason linguistical, that is number one. In terms of linguistical aspect, that is the reason you think that verse is a contradiction?
No, brother. I said these are only signs.
Okay, so let's check.
I would never reject the verses on these bases alone.
Okay, so let's check chapter 35, verse 41. Chapter 35, verse 41. We can see Halim was used for God. Do you see it?
Yeah, Rashid is not used for God. Halim is.
No problem. Let's check the Halim first, the attribute first. So Halim has been used for God.
Right, but you agreed Rashid is not.
You wait. Let's finish the first before we go to the next. I'm just talking about attributes.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but wait. But we're talking about a specific combination as a specific name.
So now it's,
Rahim,
no.
Yes, from the beginning I made clear. I said Rauf Rahim. This name of God is used 8 times in the Quran only for God. It's a double attribute adjective.
Okay, no problem. I understand you. If that is your case, then let's go to 44 and 49. Because you are going to put yourself in a shackle if that is the argument. Let's go. 44, 49. Check it for yourself and tell me.
Yeah, Azizun Karim.
Okay, now disprove this claim now.
Okay. What's the comparison here?
Okay, your claim is because both attributes are being used for an entity other than God. So here, both attributes has been used for someone other than God. So I want you to now tell me, since it has been used for Pharaoh, does that make him God? So does that mean this verse should be cancelled from the Quran?
Hold on a second. Let me load it. 44, 49, right?
Yes.
Pharaoh is told, or he's mocked, right? Pharaoh is mocked as Azizul Karim.
And it has definite article.
Correct, but he's mocking. He's being mocked, right? So he's not actually these things.
The word there's no mock mention in that Arabic
word. There is
word.
mock. Yeah, he's telling them, he's saying, then pour upon his head the retribution of the inferno. taste this. You were so powerful, so honorable. Do we believe that Pharaoh had any honor? No. Do we believe that Pharaoh had any power? No. So this is just mocking him. This is not used as an accurate description of him. And where is this used?
Did you hear the claim you made before? It is not about mocking. Whether it's comedy, I don't care. Your statement
You
was,
should care. No, it changes
no.
things.
But wait,
Actually,
let me make my
it
claim.
changes things.
Let me make my claim, because
Go ahead.
when you made your claim, you didn't say exception. You didn't bring an exception. You said before, I thought even one when we use one attribute is enough. But then you brought the claim that when both are used in the same verse. So now I brought both.
Yeah, but this is not. Yeah, but this is not a valid example, because this is not serious. This is a mocking of Pharaoh, right? It's not serious. You think God believes? You think God believes that Pharaoh is this title?
We are not talking about what God believes. We are saying the verse. It has given an attribute.
Listen
to my statement. Let me to my statement. My statement is it has used an attribute or two attributes which we know is specially for God. Now it has been used for Pharaoh. Does that mean because it has been used for Pharaoh, should we take that verse also out of the Quran because it has been used for Pharaoh? That's all I'm saying.
So where was this attribute used for God? Show me.
That what has been used attribute. So you don't know Al-Aziz. Wait. First of all, you don't know Al-Aziz has been used for God?
Yeah. First of all, this is not really used for Pharaoh. This is a mock. He's not these things, right? That's number one. Number two, we're saying it's a dual attribute adjective name, right? And I'm not sure if you even showed where God is called this in this way. But even if it is, it doesn't matter. This is fake. He's mocking Pharaoh. We already know Pharaoh is not Aziz. We already know Pharaoh is not Karim, Al-Karim, Al-Aziz. He's not these things. He's being thrown in hell. He says, you are so powerful, now burn. Right?
Okay, so if Pharaoh was so down, why is it that since Prophet Muhammad is so up and attributes has been used for him, but it's a problem for you?
Because you're claiming that the identical dual adjective attribute for God is used on the Prophet 10 verses after it was just used for God. Look at 9:117. This is the claim.
Thank you. So let's go and compare the attributes.
Look at 9:117.
No, but let's go and compare the attributes. Can somebody else also be Rahim apart from God?
Sure.
Huh?
Sure, but that's not what the discussion is right now. We're talking about the name Rauf and Rahim in the Quran is
it's an attribute
for God.
It's not a name, it's a title describing.
This title is only for God. Look at 9:117. Can we load this verse?
Nine 117.
The last two words.
Yeah. Exactly. And then?
Okay. So they want us to believe, the falsifiers, the fabricators, the innovators. They want us to believe that in 9:117, this name is used for God, and then 11 verses later, it's used for the Prophet. That's what they want us to believe. Right?
So are you saying, can you give me a verse where God says these attributes are only exclusive to him? Help me out.
We don't have any example of the violation of this rule, where a double attribute adjective for God is used for other than God.
But I just asked you a simple question. I said, can you give me any verse where God says these attributes are exclusively for him alone?
Yeah, the fact that all the double adjective attributes are used for God alone, all of them are for God alone, except this one in a verse 11 verses later, in a verse that's already suspect. It's rejected by the Hadith. It's rejected by history. It has linguistic problems. And the final nail in the coffin is the ultimate preservation system of the Quran. Code 19 rejects it through and through. Then it's over. It's finished.
The point I'm getting here is Submitters 19 group. Your point is to propagate the 19 agenda and not the evidence you find in the Quran agenda.
The 19 is in the Quran, and that's why I told you I want to patiently go through everything for you. That's why I said let's start at the Huruf al-Muqattat. If
No,
I show you the chapters of the Quran, the Quranic initials have consistent methodology with the occurrence of the Huruf al-Muqattat, is that sufficient for you to substantiate the existence of a mathematical structure based on number 19? Because we can establish using the laws of probability the likelihood of these being multiples of 19 repeatedly. We can establish it.
it's not
A
about
mathematician
multiples. We
will
are
be
not going to mathematics. God never mentioned the word mathematics in the
He
Quran.
did.
I don't need to
Actually, he
waste my
referenced
time.
it in the Quran. He referenced the expression kitab al-marqum. Kitab
What?
al-marqum means a numerically structured book.
Kitab Markum, which has been used to attribute to the Quran.
It doesn't even need to be referenced to the
Okay,
Quran.
let's go and see where it is used to reference to the Quran. Can you show me
Doesn't
that?
need to be. It doesn't need to be. I believe it's in
So it's not
reference. I
reference to
believe.
the Quran.
Hold on. I believe it is in reference to the Quran. But the fact that God is acknowledging the existence of numerically structured books, it's sufficient. Let's go to 72:28. God says He counted the numbers of all things. Is it a coincidence? The same verse that says He's counted the numbers of all things, 7228, also the digits add up to 19.
But did He say He counted the number of all things and mentioned it in the Quran and tell you this Quran has
Yes.
mentioned all the number of all things, like meaning the Quran?
So, brother, you're taking the position that you're saying it's not possible for us to ascertain mathematically that the Quran has a comprehensive system based on the number 19. This is
I'm
your claim?
questioning. That's not my claim. Is proof to me why the two verses were taken. That's all I said.
And in order to get
Linguistically,
there, in order to get there, we have to first establish the antivirus system.
Which one is that?
That's code 19.
Can you prove to me from the verses where it says the 19 is attributed to the Quran?
I don't even need a verse to say that.
Then it cannot. I cannot be convinced.
No. I don't even need a verse to say that. Is it impossible to substantiate a mathematical system of the Quran without any reference to it? I'm claiming it is referenced in the Quran. But even if it wasn't referenced, would it be possible for a book to be mathematically composed without any reference in the book itself?
A book can be mathematical. I'm not denying the fact.
I'm telling you the Quran is, and I can show you evidence.
God says in Quran chapter 6 verse 38, He says, "Ma faratna fil kitab min shay." Right?
Yes. And how many letters is that? How many letters is that?
I'm not interested in the letters.
No, you should be. This is
I'm not. No. I'm not. Let me make my statement. Let me finish my statement. Now, Prophet Muhammad needs to be told all this, right? We don't have any evidence of the Prophet reinstating this kind of statement to the people concerning any mathematics, because if there's mathematics, Prophet Muhammad will have known it before your Rashad Khalifa.
That's not true. No.
What?
That's not true. That's a false assumption. As a baseless assumption.
But you said Kitab Markum, and I asked you to prove that.
Doesn't matter.
So according to you, the Prophet Muhammad doesn't know mathematics.
He knew mathematics, but he had no clue about the ultimate miracle of the Quran. This was preserved to be released at a future date, exactly 1,406 years after the Quran is revealed, which is 19 times 74, about the number 19 in chapter 74, in the solar year 1974. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what to tell you.
What goosebumps? To take two verses away from the Quran should give me goosebumps?
They were you answer me. How many verses in the Quran? You don't even know.
No, the point is, let me tell you. The Quran I have has 6,236 verses. The statement of God has been memorized by people. Has been memorized. Right now, if you are reading the Quran, you add one verse which is not in the Quran, it can be fished out. When you add one verse, which doesn't belong.
What do you believe? What do you believe the preservation mechanism of the Quran is, brother?
No, where did God say people should preserve the Quran? God never said people should preserve the Quran. There's no verse.
Where is the Quran? Where is the Lawh al-Mahfuz?
No, Lawh al-Mahfuz. Are you asking me where is Lawh al-Mahfuz?
Yeah, where is that?
Where is in the Quran?
How do you access that? What Quran? So if I'm in Morocco, do I have the Lawh al-Mahfuz?
That's why we have the Mus'haf. We have the copies with us.
Brother, if I live in Morocco, do I have the correct Mus'haf?
If you live in Morocco, you have to investigate the book? That
What do you mean? What do you mean?
now, why do we contemplate the Quran? What do you mean by what? Why do we contemplate the Quran? Why did God say contemplate the Quran?
I gave you multiple examples. Even
Giving me
within Hafs and
examples.
Asim, even within Hafs and Asim, you have inconsistency. Even within the same chain of transmission, you have inconsistency. I feel
You
like
are saying
God bless you.
inconsistencies.
Yes,
I just differentiate. I told you if we go over, I can show you the difference. Yes.
Pull up 769. Pull up 769 right now.
769.
Yes.
You are still going into circles with me. You
I'm
haven't
not going
proven
into
any.
circles. I'm showing you that you lack certainty in your version of the Quran.
Give
and
me.
you're not willing to acknowledge it.
This is
Show
the
me
version
Arabic.
I have. The
Show
Quran
the
I
Arabic.
have. Let me prepare the Quran I have on the page. If I don't have certainty, will I have the Quran on the page for you?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Show the Arabic of this. Go to the word bastatan. 769. Yeah. Let's see it. Okay. So do you see how it has a little scene above the word?
Yes, and then?
Yeah. So if you look at the old manuscripts of the Quran, it's written with a scene.
Yes,
not
and
a sad. So did the Prophet Muhammad receive this word with a scene or sad?
I'm not there to actually see the this thing he has, the manuscript he has. But God,
so you don't. So then,
but
so
God,
then you
listen.
then you, brother, then you are in conjecture.
Let me finish my
that's
statement.
condemned in the Quran.
Let me finish my statement. But then God says He will cause His servant to inherit the book. But He never said people should preserve the book till this date.
So you don't believe the Quran is preserved?
Listen, Quran chapter 35, verse 31 to 32. God will cause His servants to inherit the Al-Kitab. He never said anybody to preserve the book in the history of mankind.
So you don't believe the Quran is preserved?
By who?
By anyone.
No, where? Then show me evidence where God says people should preserve them.
I believe the Quran is preserved.
No, I said show me an evidence where God says people should preserve the book. Can you show me an evidence where God says? I
showed you that the Quran is preserved, chapter 85, 21 and 22. God preserved the Quran in the master tablet. We access the master tablet with code 19. That's it. You don't have any way to access the master tablet. I just showed you. You can't even know which letter is supposed to go in this word here. You don't know. You say, hey, I did an analysis. I narrowed it down to halves. Good job. Even within halves, we can show variation over time. Now, what are you going to do?
So which version are you using?
We have the version that Prophet Muhammad has. Because
give me the name of the version.
There's no name. It's just the Quran. There's no name.
Okay, you have the version. Give me the Arabic statement of this verse I just put, chapter 7, verse 69. Give me how is yours written. Can you put it on the screen?
Mine is written the same, except the word bastatan is written with the scene only. Because this is a scene, this is the Alif Lam Mim Sad initial chapter, and the correct number of Sad needs to be a multiple of 19. That's 152. That corrects this. We confirmed it when we looked at the old Mus'haf, and you see bastatan needs to be written with a scene, not a Sad. Your current version of Hafs has it with a Sad. This is wrong.
This is what is written there. You saw Sad with a scene on top of it. Why are you saying it has Sad?
What do you mean it's written with Sad with a scene? And they didn't even have this at the time of the Prophet.
Were you there at the time of the Prophet? I said, were you there at the time of the Prophet?
I don't need to be, but the oldest Quran has it with a scene, and the math confirms it.
Then your claim is not making sense. You are not there at the time of the Prophet. How did you know the manuscript the Prophet had?
Because first of all, we have the oldest manuscript that corroborates exactly what I'm saying. That's number one. And number two, God gave us a mechanism to preserve the Quran. I believe in the preservation of the Quran. Brother, you just demonstrated you don't. That's the difference here.
I have a Quran which doesn't have a contradiction. The one I have right now on the screen doesn't have a contradiction. And I told you how I access the Quran. According to, let me make a statement. According to you, you said there are two contradictory verses in the Quran. So Rashad Khalifa took it off for you. You said you are still using the translation Rashad Khalifa did for you. I even asked you which mushaf you have. You say it doesn't have a name, and you say it's from the Prophet's time. You cannot prove it. You can only say.
I can't prove it. Code 19 is the ultimate miracle. It's the biggest proof.
So how come Prophet Muhammad? But then how come Prophet Muhammad never knew about the Code 19 preservation?
Doesn't need to. God reveals in the future. Doesn't need to.
Oh my God. Then if he doesn't need to,
At the right, the Dabba in 2782 is the computer. At the right time, we will produce for them a creature made of earthly materials, declaring to the people that they are not certain about our revelations.
Okay, no problem. Brother, before you go, let me put this last verse on the screen before you go. Chapter 2, verse 30.
I wasn't planning on leaving, but okay.
Okay, chapter 2, because I have to do, remember, I'm doing a program, so I have to go.
Sure.
You know, this is not a pre-scheduled thing. So,
God bless you.
Quran chapter 2, verse 30. Rashad Khalifa translated this and he puts, you know, on top of it, he says temporary God.
Yeah.
So he says, recall that your Lord said to the angels, I'm placing a representative. So the word Khalifa, he reads it as a representative, right? Then he says a temporary God. This is not me saying this. Rashad Khalifa put it there. He says a temporary God on earth.
Yeah.
Now, according to Rashad Khalifa, which you guys believe is a messenger of God, he is putting this understanding there that Iblis is a temporary God. Even though the verse into context is not talking about Iblis, it is talking about Adam. The context.
So if Prophet Muhammad, that's the Sunni understanding, and you're continuing with that. I understand.
No, I can show you the context.
Yeah, we can talk about that, but it's debatable at the end of it. If Prophet Muhammad came back right now and told you, hey, the context of this verse is actually about Iblis, would you believe him or not?
The Prophet Muhammad would not do that.
No, I'm giving a hypothetical. I'm saying if he came back
Yes,
today and
that
told
hypothetically, it cannot happen. It's like
think?
telling me. No, the point is, it's like telling me that even though
So
God
is
says,
it-
wait.
the messenger comes back and tells you you're wrong, would you believe it or not?
Because the messenger will never come back and do that.
Okay.
So whether it's hypothetical, it's just like
you're saying we started this conversation on saying the difference between the different Quranists is conjecture. And you're saying your conjecture is always going to be better than any other Quranist version of conjecture.
Which
interpretation of the verses.
Which other Quranists?
Any of them. We can talk about any topic, right? The
the
non-ritual
topic we are
prayer
talking
people,
about was
the
the
people that pray
19.
to Petra, the ones that do Hajj in Petra, the ones that like Eddie Buxel, they believe Hajj is a YouTube debate every Friday.
But that is about a word. Here we are talking about the 19 code. That's all we are talking about.
And what's interesting is the entire time I haven't had a chance to actually present the 19 code and give you actual facts and data to substantiate it.
Oh no,
critical analysis with probabilistic assessment.
But 19, based on the question I asked, is what you answered. You just keep talking by examples. You didn't even say, I want to present an evidence. You never said that. So now, look, can we finish this point? This chapter 2, verse 10, can we finish it? I said Rashad Khalifa, he's attributing this verse to Iblis when it has nothing to do with Iblis in this verse. Then
I believe it has everything to do with Iblis.
No problem.
That's a whole discussion.
But no problem. Let me finish my point. Then he says a temporary God. So do you believe apart from God himself, there's any God anywhere?
Yeah, Rashad used the word God here in scare quotes, and that means he's a fake God, and he had substantiated this both in the introduction and his appendix 7. He explains that the only true God is God.
So why temporary? But the moment you say somebody is temporary God, it means
it's a fake God.
It's God.
When you use the scare quotes, it indicates a fake God.
So if I'm a temporary boss, am I still not?
If I say you're a temporary boss, that means you're not a boss. If
so then what am I acting to be?
That means you're not a boss.
So at that time,
you have a chance to try to be a boss, but if I'm putting it in scare quotes, that means you're not a boss. And Rashad says similarly in the introduction, I can cite it for you. He says I'm paraphrasing. He says Satan's going to learn the hard way that there's only God capable of being God. No one else is capable of being a God. That's it.
So according to Rashad Khalifa, this is how Prophet Muhammad also understood this verse, that it is talking about a temporary God.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay. I get it. No problem.
I mean, I wasn't with the Prophet, but I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with assuming that doesn't change anything.
Okay. No problem. So I guess my audience have gotten the clear picture of what you guys represent. This is what I want to understand. That's why
I can tell you what we represent. Summarize it.
No, I've read articles on what you represent. I was just asking a follower of that message. That's why I'm asking you questions based on what I want to get the clarity from you.
We represent a unified path to uphold the Quran alone and worship God alone. That's what we offer. One unified path for the worship of God alone and the upholding of the Quran alone as the only source of law. And Rashad Khalifa did not use any source of law other than the Quran, and we don't believe in any source of law other than the Quran. But we believe it's out of God's immense mercy and kindness that He gives us a way to access this book in a language that's written 1400 years ago, that the best translators can only use conjecture to substantiate their translation for any verse. And any one of your listeners, they can go on QuranTalkBlog.com. We have many articles about many of the topics we talked about today. And everyone's welcome to join us. We can have conversations on Submission Server on Discord. And you can come talk to us. We're open. I'm always willing to talk to you. I'm always willing to engage your followers, have a discussion, have a civil dialogue. You've been very respectful. You didn't call me names. You weren't rude. You didn't shout at me. You're kind and patient. I appreciate that. But I do wish that we have an opportunity to actually go into the meat and potatoes of the Ultimate Miracle Code 19.
Yeah, I understand you, brother. There's a fine line that I need when I'm having discussions. There are things I have doubts that I need answers for. So sometimes this is my line of discussion always. So I don't usually want to go into certain issues if still I have a boundary to what I have to be convinced about. If I'm convinced, then I am curious to go deeper. But the moment I'm not convinced with the line of discussion of what I'm looking for, you understand? So I know how the discussion will go.
It's
forward.
A very basic premise, brother. We witness and verify a miracle. We substantiate and confirm the messenger prophesied in the Quran, and then we hear and obey the teachings that God gave that messenger. That's it. It's a very simple system.
No problem. I know it's based on belief at some extent, but believing is a choice, so this is where we need to understand. But sometimes when we have to establish the truth, it has to be based on evidence. As I said before, it is based on evidence where it has to be established for other party to be convinced. Maybe the person will not be convinced now, but later on, let's give it a time and see what God has in room for all of us. So thank you very much, Brother Naveed. If you have any last message to say before you go, you can just say
I just wanted to point out the verse. Thank you so much. I just want to point out the verse 2097, where Moses speaks about the calf they made.
Yes.
And he says that he says in here, then he's debating them after they made the golden calf. He said, then go and throughout your life, do not even come close. You have an appointed time for your final judgment that you can never evade. Look at your God that you used to worship. We will burn it and throw it into the sea to stay down there forever. So here's Moses referring to what they made as their God. And of course, the next verse says, your only God is God. There's only one true God. And we say this, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ta'ala la sharika lah. I bear witness no God except God. He has no partners. I just wanted to point that out. I do want to invite you and all your followers to watch our documentary on YouTube, the Code 19 documentary. If you go on YouTube and just type Code 19, a first look documentary, I think it has 17,000 views. It's a nice production. It'll break down everything in the Code 19 documentary.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you. I appreciate your presence, and we meet again, inshallah.
I would like to make a communication with you. We can coordinate a dedicated show or episode or whatever you want to go deeper into the topics that we discussed tonight.
Sure. We can set up on that, inshallah, in the near future. So thank you for your time, Brother Naveed. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Naveed from Submitters. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Peace. Yeah. So based on what he just said at the last end, Quran, when you go to Quran chapter 20 verse 88, it says, so he, the Samaritan, produced for them the embodiment of a calf, which he had a moo sound. Then they said, this is your God and the God of Moses, but he forgot. So they are the ones who made a claim first and saying, this is your God. They claim that is their God. So when Moses was speaking to them, then he says, this your God. Then he cast their God in the sea because it's a false God. It cannot be a God. Moses never said a temporary God or something. No, Moses was not acknowledging that that is God himself. He's just telling them because they said that is their God. So Moses is telling them, this is your God. This is what we are going to do. So they cast that their God into the sea to show them how powerless their God is. You understand? So that evidence does not justify chapter 2 verse 30 still in any sense. It is Rashad Khalifa claiming that the devil is a temporary God. But that's the point. So there's a big difference. It does not justify that means, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't wish to go that far with this program, but because Brother Naveed came, of course, is to some extent we are trying to push almost a similar message to the audience. But yes, there's some, disagreement in certain issues. Not till there's a conviction on a particular subject, then I think there's room to actually go forward to understanding each other more and more. But as it stands now, we have all seen the clear difference and the issue being presented concerning chapter 9 verse 128 to 129 and chapter 44 verse 49, when I mentioned that Pharaoh himself was called Aziz al-Karim. The brother said, no, it is a mock. So if it's a mock, it doesn't count. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have. When Shuaib himself was called Halimun Rashid, also that is the point. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I bring the topic to an end. I'm going to TikTok. I might not stay there for a long time. But thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. I think when Brother Naveed came, a lot of the submitters also came on the platform. Yes, it's usual because he is they are one of their prominent speakers, I guess. So they have to join him to come to my platform. And also we thank him also for acknowledging the notion that I was respectful and I allowed him to present himself. If only the other parties, those hypocrites, the mega hypocrites, who also have the balls to come and have discussion, let's question them on the claims they also make. Then we are going to see if they can stand the test of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Correctional Officer. This is where I leave this topic. For now, I'm going to TikTok. The mushriks, I did a program on you. I tackled a lot of issues on you. So kindly join me on TikTok. Let's continue on that issue. So till we meet again, inshallah, another time. And also, so far, the GoFundMe feeding program that is going to happen in Ghana with, inshallah, also with my presence. So far, we have about, I think, 25%. And also, there is a donation by a lovely brother from UK, Brother Imran. He has actually donated for some certain amount of people to have the copies of the Quran. For now, we have about 10 people already that are in the queue to get the copies of the Quran free of charge by the donation of a lovely brother. And we are looking forward to actually get the copies for a lot of people as well who cannot actually afford it financially, right? So I'm doing the checks. Whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, you get the updates, inshallah. And as usual, for people who actually approach me for the PDF from my WhatsApp number, you know where to get it. If you can afford it online, fine, that's up to you. If you can't, kindly inbox me and get your PDF to start studying. And the website is also there. That is what I've been using on the page, thegreatquran.com. You can access the Quran yourself and then read what have you. And we are still doing some touch-ups on the page. The page is not 100% set. The page is there. You can have the beneficial references where you can use for your own course. But you are still doing the coding on certain aspects till we bring it to perfection, inshallah. So if you see any little minor issues that needs to be dealt with, be rest assured that we didn't leave it like that intentionally, but we will get it sorted out, inshallah. So for those who are waiting for their copies, inshallah, you'll be getting them soon as well. And in the coming days, I will just keep you updated on whatever is going on, inshallah. So thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your presence. I've seen S. Farachis. I have my copy, alhamdulillah. Thank you. We have Quran Alone is Truth. We have Abu Sise, Brother Imran Khan. Thank you very much. I appreciate your presence. We have Mehdi Amumi. We have Sister Khadija, my mom. I appreciate your presence. That is my internet mom, by the way. We have Brother Rishi Green. We have Baba Seidu, Kitos Palion. I appreciate that. We have Sharif Karim. I appreciate your presence. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you all who are here. The real Mishizi Sniper. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All of you, Bukola, all of you who are here. Brother Jam, thank you for your presence. I appreciate that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So kindly join me on TikTok, where I can stay maybe 1 hour to go because I have to finish up something here. So Sister Iram, thank you for your presence. I appreciate. Brother Shurulini, thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you all. Till we meet again. Is it Team Soprano? Yes, I got your name right. Soprano also. Thank you very much. We have Talib, Brother Talib. Wow. Salam. Yunur Yashin says, in Philippines, can I have a copy of Quran? We can work things out, right? For people who cannot actually afford, you can still send me a message. We see what we can do in the near future, inshallah, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I go now. Padimo, thank you very much. Rizal Zander, thank you very much. Yes, Brother Imran Khan, God bless you. Love you too. I appreciate the support. God bless you. God bless you. May He keep us safe, inshallah. So I'm going to TikTok till we meet again. Peace out. Thank you, Anita. Anita, I see you. Anita, I see you. Peace to you. Bye-bye. Yeah.